All right, welcome back, everybody, to Overdunk, your favorite competitive Pokemon Unite podcast. My name is Zoinks, joined as always by Bridget. And believe it or not, if you're watching the video version, you might not know yet, we do have an absolutely packed house today. For our podcast, we have so much to talk about. We have regionals, a new patch coming, new items, a ton of teams qualified for Worlds. But one of those teams that is qualified for Worlds now, we wanted to make sure we got them on the podcast to do a team interview. The very team the Steel Agent Kyle believes he has some sort of supernatural cursing ability for. We have Version 1 joining the show. Version 1, thank you so much for joining. It's, of course, Liko, Scarf, Smuglax, Wailord, and Riker. Welcome to the show, y'all, and congratulations on qualifying for Worlds.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
No problem. No problem. Awesome. So, I mean, I think a lot of fans of our podcast probably know who Version 1 is. We do have a lot of the people listening to this show are following the grassroots scene and everything like that, which is where I feel like Version 1 has been spotted by far the most. Y'all have been kind of crushing it in terms of underdunks. I know you had a really good showing in the Luminosity kind of league that was happening in that server. My first question is just how long has Version 1 been playing together for?
This is a little more complicated of a question because the team has been around for about 2 years, I would say. But it's kind of had it's gone through iterations of different players.
Gotcha.
So the version that you're looking at right now, kind of coalesced. Actually, like we picked up Smug like the week before qualifiers.
Nice.
But yeah, we've been going since like basically I think last season.
That's awesome. Very cool. So over a year almost at this point. That's really sweet.
Yeah.
Also, I kind of blanked on this. Let's do a quick round of introductions for people who don't know the team. So Wailord, I believe you were talking first. So why don't you introduce yourself, kind of what role you play on the team, and then yeah, just that's it actually. That's a good introduction.
Hello, Overdunk. I'm Wailord. I am Version 1's support player, and I think I have been on this team the longest out of everybody here.
Dang.
Pouring it to Riker.
I'm Riker. I joined Version 1 back in January. I've always been a big fan of them. Getting to know them and compete with them this season has been very, very fun. I'm very happy that they have me here.
Oh, that's cute. I love that. How about we get the new kid next? Smuglax, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Smuglax. I played tank for V1 in regionals, and as Whaley said, they picked me up just like a week before regionals, and it just kind of worked out for us. And I'm happy that they did because now I'm going to Worlds.
Good trade.
Yeah.
That's huge. All right, Liko, the Duraludon main yourself. Why don't you introduce yourself?
I am Liko. I am the bot laner for Version 1, and I wouldn't call myself a Duraludon main, but definitely an enthusiast.
That is
Respectable.
That's a very artful way to say that. I like that a lot. All right, and last but certainly not least, how about you, Scarf?
Hello, I'm Scarf. I play top lane, but I mostly just complain about Sweetman at this point, so I don't know.
Yeah, one of the same for sure.
Beautiful. Sweet. Okay, so I know you guys kind of have joined at like different time periods and stuff. So how was it like prepping coming into this? Because you guys qualified via points, I believe.
Oh no,
We-
That's the open bracket.
Open
Yeah.
bracket. So how, Zoinks, I know you got to watch more of the open bracket than I did, but
Right.
how was it like prepping for the open bracket and then prepping for groups as well? Feel free, anyone, to pop in.
It was kind of well. One thing is there was a very different schedule. We were actually scrimming like basically every day throughout the week.
Oh.
Going into it, and then something that we started doing literally for this tourney is just actually prepping drafts for teams. So like for the
Cool.
open bracket, the two teams that we actually mainly prepped for were Thankfully, the two teams that we ended up running into, we had
Nice.
a lot less on the other guys. It was, shoot, I don't remember what the teams were called. It was Zero Aura was
Zero
one.
Aura, yeah.
Yeah.
The other was Tempo Tantrum, I think.
Oh yeah, Tempo. Yeah,
Yeah.
we knew that we
Yeah.
were like basically guaranteed to run into those guys unless
Gotcha.
unless us or them lose before like winners finals. So we were like,
Mhm.
all right, that team is a given, and then we scrimmed Zero Aura a bunch to get info on them before going into it.
Nice. Yeah, another team that did super well once it came to open bracket, of course, qualifying, and then so good heads up play, able to identify those teams that were looking good. So you qualify via the open bracket, and Bridget and I were talking about this a lot on last episode. You get put in one of the scariest groups I think North America's realistically ever
Yeah.
seen. You get Unk, you get Nemesis, and really unfortunately, the main broadcast we weren't able to catch too much of the actual group stage games for North America. Luckily, Kyle, you were covering some, but again, version 1 allergic to that stream. So, talk to us a little bit about what happened in that group stage. Let's just go match by match. So, talk to me about the Nemesis match. What went down, and how'd you take down Team Nemesis?
Our Nemesis plan was very. The hardest part about this whole group stage is we had to beat one of the crazy teams. Like, we considered Ignorance really good, but
Yeah,
like
totally.
in order to get through, we do have to beat either Nemesis or Unk, which we just did not have a history of doing at all. With Nemesis, our biggest worry is we knew Metallic would probably want to like hard counter into Scarf because they just know what each other play a lot.
Sure.
And when going into draft, it was like, okay, just we want to focus a lot more on our gameplay. We have an idea of what they're going to play. We run into them a lot during the bracket, but as long as we focus on what we want and we just try to get our picks and be comfortable in the game, just I think version 1 as a whole, we play a lot better. Nemesis was very, very scary. Like, I'm trying to remember. Like, I'm a little hazy on some of our just because there was so much work that was put. Yeah, he pulled up the doc, which is good, but there was so much that went into it. It's all a blur now.
Very okay.
I like
We
that.
were, yeah, I do remember we were doing like API scouting reports on every team in our group. Like every day, we would sort of look
Whoa.
at what they've been playing in the scrims and try to kind of understand how they wanted to play against us and what we should be like against a lot of these good teams. We were looking for target bans, as opposed to just sort of generic bans. So that played a large part in it.
Cool.
Yeah, and then Scarf, I think you had some stuff you wanted to say.
Yeah, I have our thing pulled up. Yeah, so this is kind of like tracks for a lot of the teams, but the two biggest problems that we were looking at for a lot of things were mainly Gyarados, which is something that we were not comfortable on going to this.
Okay, gotcha.
And then also the Talonflame, which we had a very bad history playing against.
Yeah, bit of a draft nightmare against the bird.
Yeah.
It's very good into mages, and as
Mhm.
some folks might know from watching our run, we have some very good range players.
Gotcha.
So it's just a good thing to ban for us.
Makes sense. Yeah,
Mhm,
common ban.
nice. Cool. Sorry, I'm jumping around in questions a little bit right now, but Zoinks, if you have one ready, you
Yeah,
can
no
go for
problem.
it.
Yeah, let's just finish talking about your group stage a little bit. So, obviously, Nemesis looked like potentially, I guess, hard to call it your toughest matchup because that wasn't your one loss, but you're able to take them down 2-1. Ignorance takes you guys down 1-2, but you said you have a lot of history with that team, so that can always be a tough matchup, right? When you have a lot of knowledge about them, they know about you, kind of back and forth situation. But the one match I do want to talk about is you need coaching, because in your first look against them, you walk out of that match 2-0 against, admittedly, the team that I picked to win the tournament. So shame on you, version 1, but still, it was a great look in group stage. So what went down in that matchup to give you the 2-0 edge?
No Talonflame.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
That sounds like the sauce.
Yeah, no Talonflame, no problem. I like that.
Yeah,
I was
knew
banned
we
both
had to ban-
games.
We had to ban
Interesting.
Alan. Game one, we had a really good look at Ray. I think we
Mhm.
just had really good synergized turn on them. Took down all 3 of their carries pretty
Nice.
fast,
Wow.
and then
Just
ripped
down Ray.
the recall.
There you go.
Um,
It's the Pokemon
yeah,
Unite
always scary,
equation.
when like JL and Joey are hanging around, it's always scary to just go for it. But like
Mhm.
we had the 5v2 advantage, and so we pressed it and we got it.
Nice.
Game two came down to a flip.
Gotcha.
And again somehow got
I
it
think
with
you
Hoopa.
got that with Hoopa.
Yeah, I got it with
Yep.
Hoopa game over civilization.
Nice.
So yeah, that's the game.
I think for a little bit of context for game 2, we were behind in points. We do have the Hoopa. We want to try to get the little cap off, and the moment they saw someone on their tier 2, they just started to flip it, but they lost that flip.
Gotcha.
It was like
Unlucky.
an
The thing
electric
is that they had a lot better secure than us, so
Yeah.
They were
they had
Desi that
the
game.
Decidueye, like
It was the right.
Decidueye,
We're
Zacian,
Desi.
something else.
They were Desi. They had Zacianal going.
Wow.
I think they had the Leaf. I think that game.
Okay.
I think so,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was it.
Interesting. So Unk was playing a bit of Decidueye in this tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you all play any Decidueye in this tournament or in the open qualifier previous?
No.
No.
Okay. Because I want to know where that thing's coming from.
It was Europe. I don't know what they're doing
Europe,
over there.
Europe love that Pokemon. I don't know. A Celebracer, hell of an item, I guess. But
Not anymore.
well, yeah, we'll see. But okay, cool. So that was group stage. You find yourselves in winners bracket. So let's just get a quick little check-in on the team. I mean, vibes gotta be at an all-time high that night, right? Like going into tomorrow's bracket, or was it still pretty intense, like focus up, job's not done, etc., that kind of energy? What was it? Elation or focus in? What were we at? Where were we at?
We were
had
so
the jobs done.
excited.
Yeah.
Aw.
That's
Yes.
awesome.
The vibes were truly insane because like I think that like our entire roster has believed all season that we could top 8 and that we could do it convincingly, and we've just fallen short several times.
Gotcha,
And
yeah.
so for us to do it against what many were saying was one of the most difficult groups of regionals,
Totally.
it felt really, really good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think that should also be noted. What Whaley said is our goal has just been to top 8 once, and
Hey,
It's
nice.
Well, then you needed a new goal after you did that. So
yeah,
I didn't think it'd come so soon.
right.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome. Wow. Hey, I mean, again, what a run. So you get top 8 confirmed. Big check mark there. That's awesome. What was your team's best performance throughout the, and obviously Whaley, you might be the one who's been team longest, but what was the best placing that Versions 1 has gotten over the year?
We've gotten top 9 twice.
Okay,
I think probably the closest we were was there was a Zeraora. You've probably heard this story. The Zeraora iframe heard around the world, missed the slope roll. Unfortunately, we were 1-1 with Nemesis and losers.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that was probably our best performance
Gotcha.
of the year.
Okay. Y'all becoming Nemesis bracket demons a little bit, sounds like.
Yeah,
As we're
jeez.
describing this. That's interesting.
It's actually even the monthlies where we didn't make it to that 9th place mark. Nem was almost always waiting at the end.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It would have just been Nem every time.
That is crazy. Also, we have top 3 at the World Championships last year, Eeyore. Just, unfortunately, we're not going to have camps tonight, but does want all of your signatures at the World Championships this year. So shout out to Eeyore. Also, big fan of the Overdunk podcast, so love that. Awesome. Okay, so that was group stage. Let's transition into bracket, shall we? Let's jump into it. You're already so pumped. You run into a couple of really tough matches. First one, Orange Juicers. I know you're pumped. I know everyone's celebrating that night. Were you prepping at all for Orange Juicers for that next day? Or was it like, you know what? At this point, we're doing what we're doing. Let's just have a good time. What was that planning phase looking like?
We did some light draft prep for them.
Okay.
But we, didn't really like try to lock in a scrim that night or anything. It
Mhm.
was just sort of like, let's let's just do what we've been doing, and see. It was also very early, like this being our first day too, and I'm on the West Coast. Like, oh
True.
boy, there are no 5 stacks on the ladder at 8 a.m. Pacific.
Yeah, connected to Japan, I guess. That's
Yeah.
the best you got.
Funny thing is, right before the tourney started, we actually ran into them. We ran into OJ on ladder.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you did get a script.
We did get one match.
It was
One.
a one ladder game, and it was against them.
Yeah.
Was there any mind games in that ladder game? Was it like, okay, we can't pick what we're gonna pick, or maybe
No,
we're trying
I
to read
mean,
into it?
OJ is OJ, right? They're
Sure.
they're a demonic team. Like,
Yeah.
I think we just gotta play our best and see where the cards fall against them.
Yeah.
I don't like hiding anything is gonna change the outcome there.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I don't think they hit anything either. I will note though that the bans did change going from ladder into the bracket
Okay.
match. Like,
That's right. That's right.
They did a little more homework. Yeah.
yeah, from both teams. Both teams changed their bans. So.
Oh, funny.
That is awesome. I love that. All right. Well, hey, take accreditation then. You probably got added into Kratos' Death Notebook at some point, you know? A specific draft note.
Wow.
got
Oh
written down.
no.
Yeah,
Oh,
terrifying,
boy,
but a
you
compliment. A terrifying compliment to have.
True.
All right. Well, then you move on to your next matchup, and you're able to take down T-Gang 2-0. Unfortunately, this game wasn't on broadcast. I was really hoping we would be able to get one of those rounds, but we unfortunately did not. But you were able to take down T-Gang 2-0. This is a really strong team. I mean, they dispatched T3 earlier that morning. They run into you. It's always tough, like, when you're the team that took the loss to end up there, to play against the team that got there because of the win. Like, that is a tricky momentum spot to be, but you're able to walk away from it 2-0. Was this another team that you kind of credit your prep time for the win, or how'd that match go down?
A couple things here. So one, we actually did scrim TI or Tigang. I'm still unclear how to say their name.
I was hoping
We
you would
don't
know.
know. We don't know.
I don't know. Scarf and I pronounce it differently. I call him Tigang. He says
Okay.
TI gang.
All right, fair
The
enough.
game just
Um,
bad. Like
We don't rank the names.
they
Yeah.
have a better name right there if it actually is to game.
All right, fair.
So we scrimmed them Friday. We had a sub actually. We didn't have Lico with us. So we kind of understood, like, we let them have some picks to see how it went, and that kind of gave us some draft intel going into them. We also yeah, it's hard to come off of a loss, but we knew the path was not through orange juicers. So I think I actually feel like the team was more locked in against Tiagang than we were against the juicers.
Gotcha. Yeah, you essentially went 3 maps against the Orange Juicers if you count that ranked game. So
There you go.
well aware of what's about to happen.
Yeah, so we got 0-3 huge.
And then, I mean, was a
Data.
portion of the locked in like, because this match would have happened after LG moved to the winners finals, so you knew this was a world's qualification game, correct? Like,
Yeah, we knew going
Yeah.
in the night before
right?
that we needed to win one set.
Yeah,
to make
just
worlds.
one set and then you qualify. That's so crazy. I mean, that's what taking down unique coaching and NEM in groups will get you. Like you
Yeah,
get
it's
in that
pretty
position.
good fair trade, I
Mhm.
think.
Exactly. Ah, man. Okay, well, we checked in on the vibes for making top 8 for the first time in this season. How were the vibes after 2-0ing to Gang?
I lost my voice, man. I do a lot of yelling when we're playing. So like, my voice was already shot. It had only been 4 games. My voice was already shot.
Awesome. No Switch controllers broken or phones thrown across the room, I hope. Just
No.
Okay.
No, but I jumped out of my chair. I was so excited. Like,
I jumped out of my chair. I'm not gonna lie. That's so awesome. Yeah, I mean, it really is just like, I don't think anyone, the scriptwriters went off. Like, none of us could have predicted any of this, I feel like. And it's just like a really exciting story. And it's cool to hear the experience firsthand from you guys.
Totally. It is kind of crazy how close in storyline Denial's is to yours as well. Like, Denial coming through that open bracket and then just literally 1 map away from qualifying for Worlds against Unique Coaching, but ultimately fallen. I really tough matchup again. You're all well aware, because in that loser semifinal, obviously things don't go the way you'd like to. You have a whole lot of fun in that match. Trust me, we were all losing it. I was a little behind the scenes actually. In that iconic game 2, where you do pick the Duraludon, I was so upset because at that time, Spraggles had went to the bathroom and like wasn't watching backstage with me in the studio. And I was like, he loves Duraludon. The one time someone picks Duraludon, he's not here. And I was like running, trying to find him. Eventually he did come see it. We were popping off, but it was really funny. There's always a few Pokemon that are selected that the like entire production line backstage just goes, what? And it's awesome because, and we can like hear them now because at the live events and everything, that's like a crowd and we're a little away from them, but like in the studio, I'm just sitting there. So just hearing everyone pop off was actually really, really funny. But cool. All right. Headed into this matchup, where was the mentality at? Was it, we can beat anybody, we're going to Worlds, like we can win this whole thing? Or was it like, okay guys, we did it, like let's be a little more chill? Where were we thinking?
I think we definitely had the mindset of like, we've beat these guys before, we can like
Exactly.
we definitely have the chance to do it again.
Mhm.
And it was also for like the travel stipend, right?
Yeah.
That's what that was for. So it was like that was like, it was more jobs not finished going into that match than when we made top 8.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, it's a pretty big prize when you consider it in that kind of situation. But ultimately, your journey does end there, but I would say still an extremely successful one for the team. That was an impressive run. So I think I've said it a few times on here, but yeah, congratulations, y'all. This is gonna be fun. And now the prep begins for the World Championships, huh?
Yeah.
It does, yeah. Something we never thought we'd be saying, but now we have to prep for Worlds.
I thought the season was over. What happened?
You got a couple more months, buddy.
Yeah, it's a ways off. It'll be it'll be fun though. It'll be fun, I promise. It'll be worth it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I do want to ask a little bit. So you guys were, can we learn a little bit more about like the Duraludon comp? Like, was this something you guys
Okay.
like had in your pocket? You're not like, if Liko really wants to do this, like, okay, we'll do it.
Okay.
Like-
So what was going on in my mind was we made it to Worlds. I don't really give a crap
That
about
was
what
I
happens next.
thought.
Okay.
Like, it was a decision before the game, and then it just so happened that we got Blissey, Raichu, and Leafeon,
Okay.
and then it was just a good Duraludon game, I guess.
Nice.
Hey, it really was.
Like, I insta-picked it. I was locked in on the one character. I was like, I am not changing my option.
He's been asking to play this guy all friggin' season.
It's been a joke for like the entire year that I've been with V1.
We
It looked
promised
good.
him one broadcast game with the Duraludon, and
There it is.
he almost locked it third pick, and we were like, no, take the Leafeon. And then it started to look like a really good pick, like unironically.
Yeah, as the draft starts trickling down, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Oh my word. Okay, actually, speaking of which, I'm always curious about this on teams. Who kind of who on the team is doing a lot of the draft like labbing before tournaments and stuff like that, making plans, and who's making a lot of the decisions kind of in game when it comes to drafts, like especially in that screen? Do you have a dedicated person? Is it all hands on deck? What are we looking at?
I would say it's more all hands on deck.
Yeah.
Like we all play a huge part in making this team work. Like there was a lot of sleepless nights throughout the week going into the group stage in this tournament. Just
Aw.
everyone talking about everything. Just either be just over text, over voice, like while we're playing ladder, just screwing around at 2 a.m. Like we were all putting in work.
Cool.
Oh,
The document is 7 pages.
that is disturbing. I do have kind of like maybe a question that like everyone can go around and answer, but it is kind of crazy. Like, I've always heard of V1, know you guys do like super well, but like seeing you guys like have this crazy ascent at the end of the season has obviously been like I feel like a big win for like the grassroots scene for Unite. So do you guys have any like advice to maybe some of those like grassroots teams who are like trying to get more into UCS or get more serious? Like you guys kind of are like the Cinderella story to me right now.
I think a big thing for me was like always knowing like your worth as a player. And this can like apply to like in-person stuff too. Like just
Yeah.
always knowing your worth and don't let what other people say about you determine how you think you are about a certain thing. In this case, how good you are at the game. There's a lot of people that are like they have crazy egos, man. And I'm not gonna name names, but like listen, if you know you're good, just stick to that. Don't listen to what others say.
That's beautiful.
I love that. That's really good advice.
Wow,
yeah.
I needed that.
That was wonderful.
Oh, thank you,
Yeah.
I guess.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's really, really great advice. Okay. Well, final question before I got a few like rapid fire rounds to kind of end our interview. But before we do that, we kind of mentioned, you know, you still got to keep doing some prep. The season's not quite over, that kind of thing. When it comes to planning and prepping for the World Championships, obviously this is kind of a brand new thing for each of you. But otherwise, what's kind of your game plan for that? Are you going to try to scrim against the same teams that you've been scrimming against throughout the season? Are you going to try to reach out to other Worlds qualified teams from other regions and get experience there? Are you going to start to watch other regions play? Like, are any of those things on the brain right now? Or is, right now, are we just chilling?
I think all of those things are on our mind. We want, you know, like I think obviously didn't believe that we would be in the qual spot for Worlds, so it's not something that we, you know, have prepared for necessarily, so we'll need to do some work to kind of set up the frameworks for how to go about doing that. We are kind of chilling right now. I mean, patch notes are coming out soon. You know, the meta is not going to be the same at Worlds as it is now, so like we want to keep up the momentum and like continue to play as a team, maintain the synergy, but I think we're chilling on the schedule, especially compared to how much we were practicing before regionals, for a little bit at least.
Makes sense. Cool. Bridget, any more questions before I kind of hit like a rapid fire thing here a little bit?
I don't think so.
Cool. Sweet. Okay, I just have a few questions that I used to ask back when Overdunk began, that this is what this show was I just had whole teams on and talked to them for a little bit. So this is really fun. It's kind of nostalgic for me. So let's do a few of those questions I had once upon a time. Whaley, let's ask you first. I think version 1, where does that team name come from?
So I don't know if folks remember Locke. He is a very good friend of ours and the former captain of version 1. He is the one that like created the team.
Yeah.
He wanted to call it version 0, and like 2 of the people on the team told him that sounded dumb, and so he made it 1 instead.
That's awesome. Oh, poor Locke.
Honestly, good advice.
That's
version
hilarious.
1 didn't sound, or version 0 didn't sound good.
Oh, that's so funny. Smug, next question for you. Obviously, demon run from all of you, considering the open bracket, the group stage, and the top 8. If you had to give an MVP award to one member of your team for this run, who would it be? And it can be you, if you think you honestly deserve it.
Liko, man. Liko every day of the week.
Yeah, okay.
Even before I like joined V1 or before they asked me to play for them, I knew this guy from ladder like
Cool.
for over a year before he even joined V1, honestly. Like I would be on my team, highest MMR player, he would be on the other team, highest MMR player, and he would just farm me because I played XP share tank in solo queue
Sure.
for some reason, and he would just run circles around me in my random. So I honestly was glad to, you know, make worlds alongside this guy.
Be on the team. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Fun fact.
okay.
Fun fact, Smug's Discord nickname in the V1 server has been, since like the first time he subbed for us in scrims, #1 Liko fan.
That's true.
Okay,
That's
fair.
true, yeah.
So that answer was predetermined no matter what. Okay, good to know. Good
Yes.
to know. Okay, Scarf, this question for you. Feel free to take it however you like. On this run, on this tournament, who inted the most on the team? Let's call it out. Who ran it down the most?
It's gotta be me.
Okay.
Aw.
Hey, we love the
Unfortunate but
humility.
true.
That's okay.
Iconic.
That's okay. Okay, Riker, question. On the team, when things start going wrong, you know, if a game goes down, who's like the vibes person on the team? You know, who's able to kind of refocus or even like tell a joke, like who's kind of bringing the humor or levity or whatever it is to kind of get version 1 refocused?
That's a hard one, actually. Like, my mind instantly goes to Whaley. I think Whaley is always very positive. Like, even when we lose, kind of keeps everyone's nerves in check.
Cool.
But that doesn't mean every once in a while, like other people or even myself, like we just like, hey, like let's just keep going, you know? Like the loss is the loss, but we can keep winning.
That's awesome.
But like
Riker
I
is immaculate.
definite. What'd you say, Whaley? Sorry.
Riker has immaculate vibes.
Good. That's good to hear. Okay, final question, Liko. Obviously, you said you're a Duraludon enthusiast. This one also came from Twitter, though. But if you had to add, I know you're an attacker player. If you added another attacker to the game that's not currently in the game, what Pokemon would you want it to be?
An attacker?
Yeah.
Let's see here. Yeah, I'm trying to think, because honestly, I don't think it'd be an attacker.
Okay, that's fair. You know what? Okay, I'll
like-
drop the attacker. What's the Pokemon you'd want to add in the game?
The Pokemon that I want to add to the game is Chempao.
Whoa.
Big fan.
Okay, I like that a lot. Yeah, that does. Well, I assume Speedster. Yeah, would you go with Speedster?
Yeah,
as well?
probably something like that.
Yeah, it feels.
The fact that you didn't just say Archaludon is crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? No,
Dura
there's a
too.
difference between fridge and bridge, bro.
I'm here to
Very
make that
fine
distinction.
line.
I love that. Awesome. Okay. Well, thank
Aw.
you, version 1, so much for joining us. This was a blast. Is there anything that y'all like? Is there like socials, or you said there was a version 1 Discord server? I don't know if that's like a public server or anything like that. Anything we want to plug other than just watch your team crush it at Worlds this year?
Oh, I don't think we're really. Does
Oh,
anyone
I
have
have
anything that they want?
I have
We
one
don't even
plug.
stream that much.
All right.
Yeah, we're not big socials people.
All right, watch out for the official version 1 Twitter account coming to you potentially in 2 months. Make sure to follow it. Awesome. Well, seriously, thank you so much for joining, everybody. And good luck to you at Anaheim.
Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, chat. We are back. What's going on, everybody? Heck yeah! Shout out to Coca-Cola Zero.
Sorry, I'm thirsty.
I didn't know if it actually was zero or not. To tell you the truth, I just made a guess.
It's
but
cherry
it's zero.
Coke Zero, actually. So
Ooh, eloquent.
I'm not looking.
Fun fact. So I am Canadian, which should come at no surprise to anybody listening to this show at this point. But we never had cherry or vanilla Coke in Canada. Two things that I adore. And so every time me and my parents would, like, if I was ever on a road trip coming out of the States, which happened quite a bit, we would like pack the trunk with like 3 cases of each all the time to come across the border.
Yeah.
It was the best. Yeah.
That's so funny. Smuggling the Coke.
Smuggling, well, yeah.
I mean,
it was fantastic. Yeah, but now I live in the States. Did I move here just for it? Tough to say. Tough to say. Tough to say.
neither here nor there.
Exactly. All right, let me adjust the title we got here on screen. Post regionals wrap up. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, Bridget. Well, that was awesome. We just had a really fun interview with version 1. Really great team. I'm so excited.
They're so cute.
Love them. Great vibes on that roster, and obviously some really fun Pokemon selection stuff, and genuinely taking some wins on some really, really strong teams in North America, which we're going to get to North America in a little bit. I actually think the narratives around NA and the final stretch get kind of insane, actually, with some of the results of this tournament this weekend. Not even just for North America, but also for a couple of other regions. Looking at you, Brazil, namely. But we'll talk about that in a minute. First and foremost, I just want to talk about the show a little bit. Let's just get a little bit of production talk because that's what I like talking about it. Y'all, we had so many new fun toys this weekend on the mainstream. It was actually insane. Bridget, I'm not sure if you got the chance to watch too much of it this weekend, but if you did, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope everybody did. We were in the studio, which was so fun. It was a brand new studio, no stairs. Slightly sad, but not sad because the rest of the toys were amazing. There was a giant wraparound screen behind us while doing the show, which was so fun. We had a really fun little light up desk. The floor you could slide on. I may or may not have wrecked the flooring sliding on it too much in the rehearsal day. And then we did get a message to not slide any longer, and may or may not. It's all allegedly. But anyway. And then in game, we had so many new crazy tools. We had this like totally zoomed out camera that also moved on a Z-axis, which is actually insane. And then we had the Rayquaza HP bar. There was like so many cool things that I could rant about kind of forever. But Bridget, after you were watching the show, what were you coming away of like being like, what was the really cool part of this weekend for you? Of watching it, I guess.
Yeah, specifically to production.
Yes.
No, but I was gonna like praise production anyway. I think I was talking about it with you Zoinks just over like message, just like I think this was maybe the best like produced Unite production, like maybe ever. Like maybe an asterisk to like Worlds, you know, but like this was basically like a Unite, you know, it was like a Unite only production as well, so it was like just really, really sick. Like what it honestly feels comparable to like Japan ACL like production value, which is usually pretty intense. So I was actually like extremely impressed. Like the first time they did that wide camera view that showed like the entire map of when like they were running out, I think I actually like gasped. I was like, oh my god, like this is beautiful. Like I love it.
Yeah, it was awesome. I was a really huge fan. I've been lucky enough to see kind of the beta, the prototypes of that being worked on for a little bit, kind of in the back end at some of these shows, and everyone was so excited that we're finally allowed to debut it kind of live in game. Like it's kind of the same technology that's giving us those like flyover shots and stuff that we're starting to showcase at, what was it, EUIC maybe was the show, and then like kind of since then of the battlefield, which was really cool. But it was so sick. And listen, I know in the history of Pokemon Unite, a lot of the observing talent has gotten a lot of flack in the space. I want to give a bit of a credit to our observing team this weekend. I thought they did a fantastic job. I think getting these tools is helping them illustrate a whole lot better the kind of gameplay stories that are happening throughout these matches, and I think they did a really great job, so that was awesome. I do have a message. I do have a question from DJ asking in chat, do I have the cowboy hat? Yeah, but it's now Snorlax's. You can see it in the back, actually. Snorlax
when we were interviewing. Yeah. He's beautiful.
He is great. Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, I did want to say there was one point, like, because there was the really, really wide like view that showed the whole map. There was like that kind of like one view that basically shows like all of Rayquaza Pit, which was really cool. And I feel like it was that frame, but it was like kind of higher up on the map. So you could see like there was a fight happening top path, and there's also a fight happening kind of like below the top L bush. And like you could kind of see how like the players were like trying to like move together between the two like mini skirmishes happening. I was just like, it's just really sick. I was so impressed. And I'm like, wow, we can watch two fights at once.
I know. Oh,
this is crazy.
Word. I actually remember even like I called it out one time because I realized what I was doing. And the fact of the matter was, I think it was kind of incorrect of me to be doing this. But Spraggles and I were casting a match, and it was during a fight, and he was kind of play-by-playing one part of the map, and then he tossed it to me, and I started play-by-playing a total other fight that was happening on the other side. And I realized, like, that's probably not the best way to do that, like, in terms of, like, actually how we should be I think I corrected it later, but I thought it was kind of funny that we could do it. another little behind the scenes about Jake and I commentating. So day number 1, they were like rolling out a monitor kind of back and forth for us so we could like be at the desk and commentate, which was cool. And we were doing it and it was fine. And then for the grand finals, Jake kind of turned to me, he's like, do you want to just commentate off the big screen? Like, because I don't know if anybody saw at one point during the show, Jake and I kind of stood up and we showed that they were doing like the full screen takeovers, like Registeel and Regice and Rayquaza and whatever, which was really cool. But we were also like, okay, well, we can't commentate off that because if Rayquaza gets captured, that goes across the screen. Now I can't see what's happening for like 6 seconds. And so I had to turn around and talk off the monitor. But we basically talked production, so we like didn't do the full takeovers, but we commentated grand finals of Europe via just the giant screen. And let me tell you, if I could never go back to casting off a monitor again, I would. Like, just sitting there, like, it was incredible in every way. One, the names were big enough to actually read. Amazing.
That part.
That is amazing. The natural energy that it creates about standing up and being, like, genuinely having to look and point at things that are happening everywhere was, like, it was infectious. Jake and I were just over the moon. It was like, I never want to go back to commentating on anything else ever again. This is way too fun. So we were popping off. We were absolutely loving that. So yeah, that was great. I'm glad people liked the Rayquaza bar. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, lots of fans.
Yeah, it was fun. It was, gosh, it was just a really good weekend. And yeah, I'm glad. I don't know what it felt like in Twitch chat and socials and everything. It felt like the overwhelming response was just like W production. Like it is like
Very
this is
big W.
So like they just crushed it and it's awesome. Like it's always been the consensus that Unite Esports should have more viewers than it does. But I think we put a very good foot forward with this show, and I'm just saying, like, we got the tech now, so now with in-person events being added into the mix with looks like this, I think it's going to be really awesome. I think it's going to be really eye-catching as well for people at the venue, too, which would be cool. So, yeah.
It makes it just that much more dynamic. Like, it was always, like, exciting, but now just the... I don't know. And also, like, I feel like it's almost probably... I mean, I feel like at one point, like, during, like, the very first match, probably in NA, I don't think I was able to watch as much of EU. Surprisingly enough, or maybe I just woke up early and did catch some of you. Anyway, it was when they zoomed in on like the Decidueye hollowware, and someone in the chat was like, "I can see their pores." I'm like, "Yeah," like I'm like they're learning their power. So I do feel like it's like, oh, like they have all these new tools that which can be maybe confusing, but I actually feel like it made spectating like easier because I'm like, oh, you can like zoom out more. I don't know, it's easier to catch like. Totally. What you need to catch with that viewpoint. So I just think, yeah, overall, it's only going to keep going up. Truly.
Yeah. As a person who gets directly affected by spectating, whether it's good or bad at any given moment, I want to say, like, I think our spectating team did a really good job. There were maps where I was like, come on, we should be looking at something else. But I will say there were still bugs in the system. You know, like a lot of times when you're like, why are we still looking at this? If you're thinking that, it's usually because an observer's crashed, we're getting someone back in game, like something like that. Like usually that ends up being something on production line's kind of gone awry. Because I'm like, okay, listen, I know that when they're seeing KOs pop up on the board and they're not going to the top side, like I know they would if they could sometimes. So they're getting some of that worked out. So hopefully by the time NAIC rolls around, we'll be even more ironed out. But yeah, either way, production was awesome. It was so awesome to have Kello make the trip out and be in studio. She absolutely crushed her and Wonder Chef. Obviously, are an amazing pair. It was a huge bummer to not have Dupes next there, I will say. I definitely missed the guy.
What do you mean?
That's
Kaiju
true.
Dupes was there.
We contained him. I thought that bit was so funny because there was multiple levels to it. One, obviously, we had a lot of call-ins from Dupes that were, well, extremely random.
It was
very
honestly,
bizarre.
He just seemed like confused.
Yeah.
And I really liked that part actually.
Yeah, it was kind of the character he was going for, and I think he was crushing it in that way. But then, like, Spraggles immediately launches into this bit of that it's a kaiju of Dupe Snacks and we've trapped him in a cage, which is very fun, but it didn't line up until the final send-off when it actually kind of worked. And we were like, oh my god, he's out! And it was
free.
It was a very, I don't know, felt like fate was kind of smiling on the end of the end of the broadcast on day 2 for sure. A lot of very good things for that. It was very
Yeah, broadcast wise, you guys ate that
Yeah.
grand finals for NA.
Yeah, it was hard to ask for much more. Honestly, I remember there was a moment in NA on winners finals time we were commentating, and it was like, I think it was game 1 winners finals, and the match ends, and I just kind of stood there after like Jake like kind of finished his like end of match call out, and I was just like, I love this game. Like I was sitting in front of a giant monitor. I was watching like some of the best teams in the world play a game that I love, and it was like one of the coolest displays of skill and excitement, and I was just like, it was awesome. I was just like, I felt like I could float at that moment. It was actually crazy. So I was,
Wow.
yeah, this weekend was fantastic. So huge fan of a lot of it. One other thing I wanted to note for anybody who's listening and stuff like that, if you really like what you see in production, you like some of the changes that are made and everything, and I saw a lot of people doing this actually, which is awesome. Post it on social. Like, you have no idea how much that does. Like, in terms of more things like that being an opportunity, expanding on things like, listen, Pokemon's got to split their like their money in many different ways, but seeing people react positively and think things are cool and interesting when they are, right? When it's genuine, when you're just like, you're saying your actual genuine thoughts and being like, this is amazing. It goes a long, long way. I know back in the early days of this podcast, it felt like every episode Dupe Snacks was just like, keep a window open, you know, help us with the viewership. And I'm like, I do agree with that, but like posting on socials is huge. And if Pokemon's like, oh, cool, the like budget we've put out for this is having an impact, that's awesome, we'll keep investing. Like that, it literally can't be a more simple equation. Bridget, you work in marketing. I'm sure you you understand this philosophy. Like it.
Trust me, they really care.
Yeah. My producer asked me to send him screenshots of all the tweets I could find. So like, yeah, they help. It's awesome. I was like,
I said, hey, production really good. You should watch the stream.
That was huge. Loved that.
I showed, yeah. But out of my own volition.
Yes, that's true.
I was genuinely very impressed. Like, like seriously, I think I must have been in there early for EU because I feel like it had like just started and we were all like, "Whoa! Like, what is happening?" Like, it was the whole chat was like, "What is this view?" Like, wow!
What is this?
It was really
Who is
fun.
she?
Yeah, I feel like it was like, hey, or maybe I missed it. It was just like the very first match, and they showed that whole map view, and we were all like, "Oh my god!" Like, it was just like a big splash with like no intro. Like it was just like, "Oh, here's this sick new view." It's like, "Oh, thank you so much." And then
one of my favorite things. Did you see during breaks what they would do sometimes? They would keep it on just that view for a 10-minute but fast-forwarded match. So you like during a break, it would be like the full map view, and you would just see like the Pokemon like doing their whole thing. It was like I was like, dang, like someone should be saving those VODs for teams to like VOD review off of.
You could literally, I feel like, just post that on social. Like that was just so like fun to watch.
Yeah, exactly. Just
like, really cool.
And it was like, oh, so I can see where they wrote like exactly what they did at any point during the game. I was like, that's actually so sick.
So sick.
So, yeah, some really cool stuff.
Wow,
sure.
I didn't see that. I'll have to go see if I can find them. I probably just fast forwarded. I was watching some of the VODs, but I was definitely fast forwarding through the commercials. So. Yeah, that's on me.
we had a lot of fun this production. Shout out to our producers on the line, by the way, for so we were in Texas, which we wanted to play into, but we also realized that it was never really like public that that's where we were. So we were like cowboy hats, and then we're like, well, but nobody knows that we're in Texas, so this is weird. So we basically had the idea, we're like, yeah, we gotta tell them early that we're in Texas. But anyway, funny thing, one of our producers, he got us a bunch of like dollar store like level cowboy hats at first, but they were very like American, like a lot of red, white, and blue, a lot of stars, lights up, and everything. Which for North America, not bad. Obviously, unfortunately for the Canadians, it would be a little tougher. But
but
in the end,
just like half of the players.
But then our Pokemon producer was like, I don't know if we can have like flag on, so maybe not. And so he went out and he bought us like, these are nice cowboy hats.
Yeah, okay.
Like,
I thought you guys like went. I was like,
no.
wow, they must have been really feeling like the Texas
They're
juice,
good.
and
They're like
they
Justin's
all.
or something, which I think is like
I
a
don't know what
known
that
hat
means.
brand. I don't know. Either way, they're very nice.
They
But
looked good. I was like, damn,
great.
like I could tell.
So,
Those
okay.
looked nice.
Thank you for saying that. We also thought that because we all thought that the cowboy hats was going to be a one-time throwaway bit for show open, and I think all of us unanimously and silently acknowledged we're like, we look really good, and we just kept them on the whole show from that point on.
Literally wear cowboy hats for like every cast, and I would
Yeah.
be like super down.
And yeah, I don't know if anybody caught onto the bit that we were doing, because I actually don't know if it was easy to pick up on, but the bit was we would always start with them off, and we could only put them on when someone said the words North America. That was this whole thing. So we'd be finding new ways to like extend our intro when they'd be like, welcome back everyone to the Pokemon Unite Regional Finals 4 all around the world, but today in North America. And then we'd put the hats on. It was good.
I'm not gonna lie, I did not pick up on the nuance, but
Yeah, we had
maybe
a
a
lot of good
smarter
times.
person
I
than we
mean,
did.
Jake said that moms should tune in to come take a look at me with my outfit. It
That
a
was
whole thing.
awesome.
Yeah, hey, shout out for the backup, Jake. Appreciate it. Yeah. And then, of course, the ending, but we'll talk more about that. Okay, we've talked entirely way too much about production for probably what's going to be our
know.
longest podcast episode ever. So
Yeah, I know.
let's transition to our first topic, Bridget. Our first topic is going to be, hey, we have so many more teams qualified for Worlds now. Like, literally
Like,
a bajillion.
Pretty much all of them.
Yep, let's jump to the Liquipedia page. Audio listeners, I am going to read this out loud for you, just all of the qualified teams. So, Luminosity Gaming, Insomnia, Litian Dream Factory, all had previously qualified. Let's get into some new ones, though. Nouns Esports, Gen 5, Komai Esport are going to be your EU reps. Orange Juicers, You Need Coaching, Version 1, and obviously Luminosity Gaming before are going to be your North America representatives. Aegis Flames and Krios Dojak, I believe is how I would say that. I don't know if someone from Brazil is going to be like, that was the worst pronunciation I've ever seen.
I'm pretty sure it's just like Jake's
It is the formerly...
dog.
Oh, could be. Yeah. Oh, is this Jake's dog? Perfect.
That's why I feel like I saw it somewhere, but I don't know like where or why.
This is
So,
the
don't quote
formerly
me.
signed by Tuesday Esports team, by the way. They had a
Yes.
falling out. Something went down. I don't know, but they also picked up Angel. And Angel's insane. So, good pickup. Good pickup. And then Aegis Flames, another demon team, apparently. So, notably,
Yep.
no DreamHack Esports. More news
Yeah.
on that later. You can pronounce Jake like you would in English. Okay, great. Okay, so it's Jake's kids. Interesting.
Oh, Jake's kids.
Okay, cool. All right, thank you, chat. You're the best. Okay, LATAM South, we got Peru. Surprise. And I guess kind of in that same vein, Yatagarasu. Like these two teams have been trading tournaments off each other basically all season long. So yeah, shout out to Yatagarasu. This was LATAM South. The LATAM North team, Santos Laguna, No Smites, and Stamina Esports coming in third place. So potentially another NAIC runner because they could potentially try to get that travel award. That's something to think about. Wildfire Wonders are going to be the OC reps. Got Feather, Rui, Naisake, and Lunar. And then, of course, we already know Team TC and Jintu from China. Those previously qualified. SAUL previously. Talon previously. PaperX previously. And then, did we talk about Onyx, and Cakelock? I think we did.
We did
Yeah,
with
last
Max
week.
and Kyle, yeah.
So, that leaves only a few slots left. The 3 Japan slots, the 2 Korea slots, the 1 slot for Taiwan, Hong Kong, and NAIC, right? Yeah, the final stretch champ.
Yeah, and I believe Taiwan, Hong Kong is this weekend.
Taiwan, Hong Kong is this weekend. You were correct. And I think PJCS, I think Japan is the weekend after the final stretch, by the way.
Oh, like their finals?
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
And then I guess I could click on this right now and it would tell me probably, right?
I
Start
don't-
date 06/21. Yeah. So June
Okay,
21st.
nice.
I think that is the weekend
I think
after.
that is.
Yeah, the weekend after NEIC. But I think Korea might also be this coming weekend, or like their qualifier is. I forget exactly.
Maybe their quals. I'm not sure Korea's timeline. I do think it's kind of cool that like
24. Yeah, not this weekend, but the following, I would say, is going to
Okay,
be their
that's-
tournament.
Okay, nice. Thank you for checking.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it is kind of cool that like number 1 and number 2 from Worlds last year, like their regions are basically last to like qualify. I don't know. I think that's kind of like sick.
That is hype. That is
I
hype.
think Japan usually is last. Like I'm pretty sure they were after NIC last year.
I think so too.
But I don't remember Korea being so late, so I don't know. I just thought that was kind of like funny.
No, that's hype. That is really hype. I like that a lot. All right. Well, we'll have to see what teams end up qualifying. But either way, this Worlds is hyping up to be a really interesting one. Like we got some like teams that are just like such wild cards to me, like just fun teams, you know, like obviously Insomnia from Japan for that like ACL champ spot, just like crazy comps, crazy picks. We got a team like version 1 now in the mix that's willing to do crazy comps and things like that. And then obviously who knows what China's gonna look like at the World Championships, because it was not great at ACL, so maybe the level up has happened since then. Because obviously they had to play in a really weird timeline for them. So we'll see. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be absolutely wild. But let's talk about our first region that we're going to break down. So I think we'll talk about a few different regions. Actually, let's talk about Brazil first, because I think there's an interesting talk. OC and Brazil. In a way. So in OC and Brazil, the reason I wanted to bring these two teams up regions up is because in both of those regions, the team that won the final stretch play-in travel award did not qualify for the World Championship. So the OC reps in that place and DreamMax Esports in Brazil are going to be playing for a chance, like their last chance to earn a world spot, and will basically almost 100% be there. They'll be there. They have the travel award, right? So they will most likely be in the venue attending that event. That is an insane story for those two teams. Like, they have to make it out of groups. Like,
I've already seen DreamMax like social like posting about like countdown to New Orleans. I'm like, so I think they're gonna be there. Like I saw one post already. I was like, oh, I think they're in.
It's gonna be awesome.
They're gonna be there. I really, really hope. It seems like they're. I mean, I feel like you have that travel award. It seemed to work out for EUIC pretty well for like the teams who like got through the qualifiers for that. So obviously this will be the first time NAIC is having like invited teams from like other regions, and I'm like stoked because I've never seen like international Unite games like in person.
Oh,
so
that's true.
I know.
I'm so excited for you. It's next level. it really is. It's gonna be awesome. Yeah, Eeyore in our chat saying, DreamMax org has already started aura farming on X. Yeah, okay, good to hear. As they should. Yeah, I mean, it all comes down to this. I can already see the promo.
Story.
Yeah, DreamX, please hire me for the promo. It'll be awesome. Okay,
Amen.
So yeah, those are the two big storylines I think for OC and for Brazil. Obviously, there's a lot of teams that are qualified, so good for them, but like they likely will not be attending NAIC. We have one of those cases in North America too. I think You Need Coaching did say that they likely won't be in attendance. I think JL had said that. Maybe a few of those players might just show up to the event and want to be a part of it.
Like how V1 was saying, they might just
that is a good thing to know. Yeah, that they are like roster locked. So like those players can't play on a different team essentially now, which is interesting and it makes sense. You know, you don't want to like, let's go grab 3 LG guys and go run the open bracket and try to sneak in. So yeah,
absolutely, just ruin all of the transfer periods that they've put in
be
place.
Just a different entity entirely at Worlds. Like it would be not great. So, but anyways, let's jump to EU first, shall we? Let's take a look at Europe. So. Europe, I believe we had our predictions in. I think most of us sent down to esports. Bridget, you were the lone Komai defender.
I was.
In this one. Maybe not the correct prediction, but still a good run from Komai Esport. Able to take down some really good teams. This like Guerrilla Tactics team was way stronger than I think a lot of people thought they would be, especially in the group stage. Took down Absolute Cinema 2-0, was a team I thought could go quite far. And then was able to take down Los Caudacados in 2-0 fashion too. And reminder, in EU, this loser semifinal was a lot more important than when it was in NA. Like it was, in NA it was just for a travel award. In EU, this was a World's qualification game, and Komai took it with flying colors to be able to take down Los Caudacados and go into the losers finals. But you said you got to tune into EU maybe a little bit later into the stream, right?
Yeah, I was trying to like remember what I had time for when. So I was able to watch a lot of EU before Kyle and I started streaming groups for NA around like 3. So
cool.
I was like watching it in the background after that point, but I was around more for the beginning games, but yeah, I'm trying to even. I was kind of like running around a lot, so it was more
You're good.
noise for me. But I was pretty excited for Komai. I knew they were starting in losers bracket. Obviously, they had like an even longer day because they did their groups that day as well, too, right?
Yeah, that is probably something we should talk about. That
it was just a long day.
It sucked for you.
think.
It sucked to have to play group stage and bracket all in one day.
Definitely.
They're in a tricky spot with broadcasts with that, I guess. It is like you could do, I mean, either way, you're just looking at really, really long broadcasts, kind of no matter what. You could do separate broadcasts,
right.
of course. I think the tricky thing is like perfect world. You do 3 weekends in a row. You do open bracket into groups the next weekend and then into regional finals. But that's just really like asking people to book off 3 weekends of their time in a row is really hard. So, yeah, that could be a challenge.
Yeah.
So,
and I am kind of glad they split up it a little more. Like they had, I know the changing the open qualifiers to like a different weekend was like not in the cards for some people. And there's some people off schedule, but I am kind of glad they did that just because like if this had been even more expedited, like
yeah, no, I think that
it's just insane. There would have been no way. So maybe like I don't know how much like player feedback they get or anything, but like if regionals is going to continue holding like this weight, which I feel like I personally like and seems to be like a pretty good system for the most part, like space it out. Like I don't see why we couldn't do like 3 weekends. Obviously it is a lot of players like you said, but or like dedication of time from the players, but I don't know. It just feels like also like too squished.
Yeah. I guess you can't really do this for a broadcast, but I was gonna say you could do an EU weekend and an NA weekend. Like,
that's kind of cute. But yeah,
now you have to pay for 2 whole studio, likely studio shows or weekends. We're hoping studio shows, but yeah. Okay, well,
for sure.
That aside, obviously I think there's some format things to tweak in this situation. But either way, I still think the teams that were supposed to win probably did. Like, Nouns Esports looked like the best team all throughout the day. This day, Wonder Chef and Kello got some W games to commentate, by the way. They got Gen 5 Grim Reapers into Nouns Gen 5, which were like 2 of the sickest games of the day. They were so fun. Gen 5 being able to 2-0 Grim Reapers, tough matchup there. Grim Reapers, of course, everyone knows those players, but they did come from the open bracket because they made that team so last minute to make that run through. And then Now's reverse sweep Gen 5. That felt like, oh, the tournament might be over.
Yeah, they turned the win switch on. Yeah, I don't even really know like what was like the change in Nouns during that winners finals. Like, was there a moment for you that you saw them kind of like get control back?
Yeah, a little bit. It did feel like they were playing a bit more of an aggressive game after things started moving a bit. They started banning a few of Lunder's picks after a while. I think normally that wasn't where their banning phase was going to. Yeah, Toon said lock in. Yeah, this is usually how it goes.
Well, yes.
Here's the thing about Gen 5, and I was kind of thinking it while I was commentating a lot of their games. I think Gen 5 is feeling it when Yutao doesn't have to play a tank. When Yutao can get away with Lunder picking up an EXP share on something, Yutao can pick up another carry and kind of play it like a defender. And to be fair, I think this metagame is one of those few metagames where you can kind of make that happen. A lot of the tanks aren't that great right now. Like, people are playing Lapras to like deal with auto attackers. You know what I mean? Like, it is this space. But when I felt like was Gen 5 would start taking a loss, and then they would kind of be like, okay, well, we got to play like just what works. You know, go a little more simple. And then Utah would go back to tank, and it just felt like it wasn't the same Gen 5. And I think Nouns caught on to that pretty quick. And I just kind of felt like that for most of the match. I felt like Gen 5 had a tough time playing from behind. That was not the case in the Grim Reapers match. I think they played really well there, but it felt like and that moment on. Maybe it could just be fatigue, right? That winners finals, in the grand finals, they were so late. Tough matchup there for them. But yeah. either way, I think this team is really, really good. It's just like, I mean, maybe it just hurts my heart to see Utah have to play defender when he's so good at these like central carries and stuff. But either way, yeah, I don't know. Like, it's kind of crazy. Like, Megu played defender for like over a year. Like, why are we? I don't know.
Yeah, I can't obviously speak to the Mons they're trying to draft up or anything, but yeah, I even when we were like in our predictions, I was like, are we sleeping on Gen 5 too much, guys? Like, I don't know,
Yeah.
but I mean, they are just consistently like right there.
Yeah, they are.
It is like actually really crazy how, I mean, there were some like close calls, I feel like, but I feel like EU pretty much like landed as expected, which like, I don't know, it's just kind of, it is also kind of equally crazy that like how consistent this like top 3 has kind of been, probably since like EUIC after
agree.
Kamai, but yeah.
Yeah, Kamai's tough to call them consistent, but that's only because they didn't sign up for one tournament, so it's like, who cares?
Yeah, but
yeah.
overall.
So I posed this question like right at the end of, I think, the day 1 broadcast, but I'm curious what your thoughts onto it. Is this the strongest set of teams that Europe has ever sent to the World Championships?
Ooh.
I think it is. Like, Nouns, Gen 5, and Komai. I mean, Komai, obviously, with just that showing at EUIC was like, oh my god. Obviously, they've changed some players since then, but a top 3 finish at this regional final with wins over teams like Katakados and like map wins against Gen 5, I think proves that they still got it. Like, they still are a phenomenal team. So I don't know. I think all 3 of these teams, like if I'm thinking about Nouns and Gen 5 and Komai, I think all 3 of those teams you could predict to like make it to day 2. They could make it out of groups and make it into a bracket.
I agree. Yeah, the only other, obviously last year, I'm blanking on like the name. Was it Tally Bobo still last year? Or what was the team that couldn't make it to Worlds? That was the Mega Utah team.
Oh,
I don't know.
Yeah. Were they Gen 5 at that point? I forget.
I don't know. I'm really blanking. I was like, I really can't remember their name, but they like weren't able to go to the World, so it like went to the. So obviously, last year I'm like definitely not the cream of the crop of like every EU team. The only other one I would maybe debate is like Tally, Bobo, and Nouns going into Japan, but obviously like it didn't turn out so hot. But I feel like up until that point, Tally was kind of like they were running Europe. Like I don't know.
They were
like
a tournament favorite to win Worlds. Like
that's what I'm saying. Like I was like, I feel like everyone was like living in fear of like Tally Bobo, even though like that Worlds didn't like go well. I would say like maybe even though like that was, I would say, only like the top 2 teams. Whereas I do agree with you. Whereas like these 3 all feel a lot closer.
True. Okay. So let's rephrase the question a bit then. Current Nouns or headed to Japan Tally Bobo? Who do we think is like the stronger set? Because I mean, my instinct is going to go, well, Tally Bobo, because we all thought they were literally, they had the chance to win Worlds.
The hype was crazy.
I thought they were a top 4 at minimum team headed into Japan, like genuinely.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
This is a locked-in Nouns. Like, this is a very, very good-looking Nouns esports. Feel like they finally kind of solidified their game plan around Inder. This was a great meta, I've said for Toon, but also for a Desu. I feel like a Desu got to play a lot of really strong mons that are in their wheelhouse.
Zossi and Desu, right?
And Espeon too, even. Like, put that in the mix. I thought they were both great. They were looking great. And then I think Inder said it so well in our final interview of the day. Said like, hey, shout out to Gatlu. Like, a lot of people have been kind of like hating on his performance or like saying he's in like at fault for stuff. But Gatlu like clutched up multiple times in that tournament, was playing so strong. I think he also posted he was like dealing with like pretty tough stomach problems during the day too, and was like playing through it. So, I mean, this is a locked in now. It's currently for sure. The World Championships, we hope they keep that form, and NAIC too. It's gonna be awesome to see them. I think that's gonna be a pretty big litmus test. Actually, it's like, all right, how strong, how are we feeling about them when they play at NAIC? But either way, I think this team is looking pretty good. But I don't know if I can give them the same gas I gave old Tally Bobo. That's the only thing.
Yeah, I mean, That's that was my only hesitation as well. But I
Mhm.
agree, and I'm actually really excited to see how they do at NAIC and Worlds with like the addition of like Ender more integrated. Like,
True.
because to me, I feel like Ender is kind of like a vibes guy. Like, I don't know, I could see him like leveling out like
Yeah.
the Nouns team like well. So
Sure.
and like him giving a shout out to Gatlu, I just think that like just kind of like shows that he is like, I don't know, a team player. Feels like a weird thing to say, but like truly like he seems to be helping. I don't know, sometimes it could be nice if like almost like fresh energy come in. So
It totally is.
I hope that plays to Nouns' benefit. And I mean, I could definitely see them having like their best run yet with this roster at Worlds.
Agreed.
So.
I am aligned. I think it's true. Okay, let's talk about meta, because EU,
Dude,
let's call it like it is, was weird. We
what
have
was happening?
Decidueye, and I'm trying to consider. Yeah, Decidueye had a 42.9% pick rate in EU.
What was happening?
42.9%. That is crazy. Okay, so Decidueye picked a ton, had a 50% win rate on the day. Pretty impressive. Known fraud, Alolan Raichu. Alolan Raichu only having a 30.8% win rate. Pretty alarming here, I think. Everybody should have listened to Chris and played Electro Ball. Crazy.
Were they not?
No one's playing Electro Ball.
In EU?
Everyone was playing Stored Power. It was your choice of Psychic or Thunderbolt, but everyone was playing Stored Power.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I have not really played a lot of Raichu, but I have been hearing that like Electro Ball is like the schmoob. I didn't even notice.
Yeah. No, I was thinking it was kind of just fine. A few Unite moves from Alolan Raichu were game changing, but other than that, it felt pretty rough. EU with some other interesting stats. The one that I think, Gyarados and Zacian both crushing it. Gyarados with a 71.4% pick rate and a 65% win rate. That is literally a pick Gyarados you win kind of stat. Like, that much of a pick rate alongside that win rate is nasty. Zacian at 53.6 and also 73.3% win rate. EU stays loving Eldegoss, by the way.
Yeah.
They are one of the best Eldegoss regions, and I don't even know if it's that close. 50% pick rate and almost an 80% win rate. Big Ender W for EU for sure.
Yeah, shout out that Speedster nerf.
Yeah, looking kind of massive. Other ones, I think that was a big talking point for us was the Lapras. Lapras had a 32% pick rate, but it did have a 66.7% win rate. And then, okay, this stat last one I'll talk about before I stop reading numbers. Suicune and Snorlax, both right around that 20% pick rate, so pretty low, but both of them having Suicune with an 83% win rate and Snorlax with an 80% win rate. This lane,
disgusting.
I think, is the most demonic bottom lane that has hit Pokemon Unite since LD Venusaur, that one patch pre-UCS. This lane is nightmarish. I don't know how you beat Suicune Snorlax in lane. I don't think it's possible.
No, I couldn't think of any matchup that would want to deal with that. You just are actually, you cannot move. It's honestly, Snorlax in lane alone is already pretty annoying.
Yeah.
Like, for any duo to deal with.
Exactly.
So, yeah, that is actually gross. I don't know who started that, but it's
disgusting.
That's not good.
yeah, quit it.
Yeah, stop it.
I do think, like, on paper, the simple counter should be, well, just outrange it, just damn it, like, poke it, right? Like, who cares? Just play Inteleon. But Snorlax and Suicune will just run you down. They'll just run on top of your goal zone. They don't care. If you get tackle stunned into, like, Whirlpool Freeze, it's over. Like, you're gone. So, it's like, I don't know. It is so strong. I think we saw a lot of people having to start like repeatedly flanking off first gank into bottom path just because of how strong that lane was. It felt like a total revitalization, which I don't know, was really interesting. I don't know if there's any other stats I wanted to read out. I know Metagross got a lot of hype. Unfortunately, didn't really showcase it in win rate. 39% pick rate, but only a 36% win rate. It's really struggling. Umbreon. Shout out to the Umbreon. 42.9% pick rate. 8.3% win rate. have the fraud allegations ever been more true than it is with Umbreon? Also, EU is playing a lot of Mean Look Wish, and I do not recommend.
Okay. Maybe it's an EU thing. I don't know what's going on over there.
Yeah, no. When we get to other regions, it is not the same. Don't worry. I think Brazil, it was almost up to 60%. Like, it is.
Okay.
It is very different, but yeah.
Maybe this is why Umbreon's not getting nerfed. It's EU's fault. Like,
it is. Thank you.
I'm not sure.
Agreed. But yeah, that was EU. Okay, so we kind of talked about the bracket. We talked about sort of their form headed into the World Championships. I think they're insanely strong. I think potentially better than that as a collective than they were headed into Japan. Just because I do think Kamai is also, like, I feel like all three teams have a hat in the ring, if you will.
Agree. They've like proven themselves in some way or another.
Let's transition and talk about NA. North America. I'd put my cowboy hat on if it was within reach, but that is Snorlax's hat now. Let's talk about it. LG starting things out in winners. Denial and Version 1. Version 1, of course, the earlier part of this episode, we interviewed them. Show me the Duraludon Winday. Just wait, you are. I don't think it'll show up because it's a big great thing, but anyway. I mean, it's probably 100%, right? Anyway.
You think so? Probably.
Denial and Version 1 start this tournament in the winners group because they both basically took a win against the best team in their group. I would say it's like the majority of why they ended up there. Huge runs for both of those teams, and they both came from the open bracket. So big story. Unfortunately, they had to run into LG and Orange Juicers respectively. Two teams that made it onto my top 10 teams in the world. So they a tough challenge to hit there. So we start our tournament off, Orange Juicers 3-1 LG in the winners finals, and then they take down Unite Coaching 3-1 in the grand finals. A lot of gentlemen sweeps in North America, by the way. In the winners final, the grand final, and the losers final, all 3-1 sweeps. Anyway, I feel like before we even get into the rest of this bracket, Bridget, a lot of the story in NA, as it was kind of last month, is less about who's here and more about who's not.
Yes, very that.
YouTube doesn't make top 8. Nemesis doesn't make top 8. Revelation and T3 both make top 8, but then lose round 1. Rush Hour doesn't make top 8. Like, whoa.
Yeah,
Ignorance doesn't make top 8. Like, NA's deep. We've been saying it for a minute, but wow. Like, to not see any of those teams make it, and then to see T3 and Rev go down so early, also a bit of a shock. Now, I think to the Revelation's credit, a little bit more Unite Coaching is like brilliant. But Bridget, you had the chance to commentate the group stage, I believe, and you were hot on T3 from what I remember after their group. So talk to me about some of the things you saw on the group stage that I didn't get the chance to take a look at.
Yeah, covering groups was really, really exciting because it was really fun because it felt like the first, like, so all the groups were happening, like, at once. So it was, like, round 1, round 2, round 3, basically, and each group playing, like, simultaneously. So, like, the first round, we were, like, checking on groups. For the most part, it was, like, 2-0 sweeps for the most part. Like, it was, like, pretty cut and dry. But then as we were seeing, like, who was beating who, and, like, at the end of round 2, it was, like, especially groups like 3 and 4 where like V1 and like Denial won, like it was like everyone in the group had like lost to a different person or beaten a different person, and like there were a lot of like variables about how like who would get to move on based off of like all this math. Like it was just crazy. Like you can Zoinks is showing on screen now group 4, which Denial and T3 made it out of, beating Team Growth and Team YT, the two people with points.
Right. Yeah.
Did T3, I guess T3 didn't have enough points.
All
then?
3 of these teams had points. Denial was the only one that did LCQ'd in.
Oh, sorry. I get confused on where.
Yeah, because the standing is not like how they got seeded, so it's like weird. This is their seeding. The YT T3 Growth Denial, I think, was the seeding headed into the group.
Okay, that makes sense. Makes sense.
Oh, well, it didn't completely flip-flop. I thought it actually completely flipped on its head, but not quite.
Pretty close.
Yeah, Team Growth and T3 would have to realign for that to happen, but yeah, pretty crazy stuff in that group.
Right. I mean, it was the difference. Literally, when YT dropped a game, I think to Denial, I was
Mhm.
like, that might end up mattering.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it like hugely mattered for them in the end, but like it was that close. Like all these sets were really
Wow.
like crazy to watch happen in like real time, and
So
seeing
insane.
like YT get knocked like, and a lot of them came down to like the last game. Like it was like, oh,
Yeah,
like,
there were
round
so
three,
many
it's
2-1s in this.
Yeah,
thing.
it was
It's
like
crazy.
Denial versus Growth and T Thief versus YT, and whoever won that round 3, like both teams
Moved
were like
on.
getting in. Yeah, it was really
Crazy.
sick. It was really fun. Kyle and I had a good time, and he's like trying to like cover as much stuff as possible, and
Totally.
but we're trying to like also like finish the sets, and I'm like, no, go to the other games.
Now we need to see it all. We need to see it all.
Yeah,
awesome.
this group 3 was very similar. Like, yeah, you can see everyone was either 2-1 or 1-2, like
Mhm.
for overall matches, and nobody was losing to like the same person. It was
Yeah.
very chaotic.
Yeah.
And
That
when
is
V1
wild. Ignorance was just the
Oh my
craziest
God.
story in this tournament. They get 0-2'd by Nem and Unk, but then they go on to beat version 1, the world's qualified team. Like, that is... What a wild look for them.
I know, and like V1 can, yeah, I don't know. I was like, Kyle, we need to watch this group. And we did get to see, I think it was, I can't remember if it was Unk and Ignorance.
Okay, that'd be a good match, too. I'd love to watch that one back. That's great.
Yeah,
Of
I
course,
think that
some
was a
Kyle
fun
Blood.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I know we got an Unk game. I just can't remember. I'm pretty sure we didn't see any Nem, so
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure it was Ignorance. But yeah, it was really fun, really exciting. I mean, even like pool, like the OJ and LG pools were like pretty fun to watch too. But I obviously 3 and 4 were just like, what is happening?
Good old LG getting a win on DQ'd standing on business. I'm
Yeah.
assuming standing on business went 0-2 and then just dropped, I guess. is,
Exactly.
like,
Yeah, it
it's-
didn't really
it's
matter. And
insane.
then T Gang and Goofy Goobers were like trying to play. They were like doing a win and in basically.
Okay.
So really, the only team that like actually didn't, well, the only team that didn't drop a map at all was OJ, which I guess
Mm.
was good foreshadowing for what was
Yeah.
to come. Because
That is
LG
true.
did drop a map to T Gang.
Yeah, that is wild. That is wild they dropped that map in general, but yeah, what a crazy group stage. Yeah, Orange Juice are not dropping a single map to Rush Hour, Rev, or Zero Aura. That is crazy. Also, it's Kratos on that team. Just want everybody to be so clear.
Just really want to remind everyone.
People saying, "Ooh, Cass saying the TI." I keep saying I go back and forth between TI and not T Gang, but T Gang and LG set was really close. That's cool.
Ooh,
But yeah,
yeah.
I
I
mean,
know
these
Dusk
matches-
Runner was able to catch some other ones as well from groups, but
Cool.
go on.
No, I was just gonna talk a little bit more about the bracket. I mean, we talked a lot about the version 1 run during their interview at the start of the show, so we don't have to talk about too much about that. But these Orange Juicers LG games felt awesome. Like, oh man, I don't know. Orange Juicers just found a way to lock in. That was so
Yeah.
impressive. And then I don't know, like, you need coaching. When they beat LG, I was like, they could do it. Like, this team could
I
reset the
thought
bracket.
you were about to win. I mean, you did win our prediction
Right.
game for sure by picking Unk in general, but dude, as soon as we did those predictions, I was like, I remember I picked LG first, and then no one picked OJ. I'm like, you guys are stupid, but so am I guess.
And all's well that ends well, I guess.
Exactly.
Let's just talk about that grand finals. Orange Juicers, you need coaching. Truly, like a back and forth set. Like, it is exciting. Like, it is a tight matchup. It's a 3-1 final. But our tournament ends with Orange Juicers getting the 3rd game win of their run
Oh
on
my
a
God.
heckin' tie. A tie game. The back cap from Zugrugs Lapras was enough, and it got them to that scoreline first. Actually, an insane endgame sequence. I probably won't play it on the podcast, but if anyone is interested, I believe Roland posted the team comms from that moment on Twitter. You should go check it out. It is so sick to hear them. It was funny to talk to Zug in the interview after. And like, what were you guys talking about? And he was like, well, I told Kratos to not sell on tier 1. And then he died. So we were like, well, now what? But anyway, that comes out a little bit, but that final was so insane. Roland being the mobile player diff, getting the call that they won earlier on, very funny. But actually crazy. I have never popped off quite like that. like we were,
Oh my
me and Jake
gosh.
were just losing our freaking minds when that happened. The script writers you mentioned before, Bridget, you could not script a better ending to a tournament like that.
That was sick.
Oh,
Yeah, I was actually
insane.
like, because Sunday was like Mother's Day, so that was the day I was a little more like in and out of it. But like, of course, like the one game I sat down to watch was like V1 Unk, and so like I tweeted out like game 2 if that was like match of the weekend for me. I'm like, I haven't even seen anything else. I don't really need to.
Exactly.
That was so fun. But I have gone back and watched like some of the VODs and stuff, but I was like actually driving back from like my parents' house, like listening to Grands, and I was like just like playing it over like my car audio. And when like the tie came out, like my jaw was like on the like at a red light, like looking at my phone, like, oh my god, like I was freaking out like in the car.
It was insane.
But
yeah, at that point I had a
always remember
cowboy
where
hat
I was.
and sunglasses on, and they were bouncing all over the place. It was a whole thing. Yeah, it was awesome. So yeah, crazy ending, of course. Orange Juicers looking very, very good. Glad they bounced back from their 0-2 run in the last monthly.
No, oh my god, of course.
But some interesting stats when it comes down to Orange Juicers now. So maybe future guess a player stat things to look
I
out
should
for.
write these
But
down.
yeah. So first off, Orange Juicers defend the regional title 2 years in a row. The first North American roster to ever do that, because we had like Ascendance into TTV, and then Orange Juicers, and now Orange Juicers getting the repeat. Zugrog, the only 3-time North American regional champion, which is kind of sick.
Against Zugrog in a regional final ever again.
Exactly. Yeah, me
Walking
neither.
that one away.
That's good to know. So I don't know, just generational run there for sure. Also cool to hear in the interview that they are going to be attending NAIC, because fine, I'll say it, they didn't get their trophies or whatever, but they want to get their trophies, so they're going to be trying to get that win at NAIC, which I think is awesome. You know, they're going to be headed to that tournament as well. I think if you want to win Worlds, NAIC feels like an amazing way to get some momentum and get some great practice against international teams. Like, it feels... I mean, if you can make the trip, it feels like not mandatory, but just such a great idea. So glad they're doing
OJ
that.
won the qualifier for NAIC, right? Or am I wrong?
No, I think LG did. LG won final
our
stretch
qualifier.
play-ins, yeah.
Gotcha.
So
couldn't remember.
like 99% sure on that. We'll see.
Yeah.
But
I might be
way,
thinking E EUIC.
So before we talk to Meta, let's do a little bit of big picture talk for NA now. So now we have 4 teams from NA going to Worlds with the potential of 5. Who knows? That's like the statistical likely number coming out of the final stretch. But notably, we have so many storylines now about teams like hunting for that best placement outside of Worlds qualified teams in ASE. We already mentioned DreamHack Esports. There's obviously that OC team as well. Throw into the mix Nemesis, Ignorance. Like, I hope these teams are making the trip out, because they have a very real chance of having a run. Like, that would be so crazy. I mean, so many teams. YouTube as well, definitely.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what the vibes are in the T3 or Revelation camp. I hope they're good enough to make the trip and compete there. That'd be awesome. That'd be so sick. Kyle and Husky and Gary have a team. I know they're going to be locked in. Hardly Nowhere's going to be going for the championship. Who knows what could happen?
I think Tempo Tantrum will be there as
Let's
well.
go. Okay, so Tempo Tantrum.
Don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure.
I wonder if Goofy Goobers will too. Because then, maybe even Denial. Because it'd be funny, because I feel like Denial, Goofy Goobers, and Tempo Tantrum are kind of like the other part of that quad pack, along with version 1 that had so many
top 9.
There's so many performances that close. So that'd be cool. Yeah, Dexter mentioning Rush Hour as well. Like, oh my word. Like, there are so many teams that are going to be hungry for that spot. Oh, it's going to be so fun to watch that tournament and to follow that along. That's going to be crazy. So I hope signups boom. Like, I hope teams are heading out. It's going to be awesome. Yeah, Gary.
I'm excited.
Flame Demon for Hardly Nowhere. And then April mentioned in our chat as well, saying Inder also pointed out that a TTV member has won each regional in North America and EU every year.
That is
Wait.
actually really funny. But
Wait,
year
what
one,
about year 1 for EU? Yeah, hold on. Was there...
it was
I don't remember. No, whatever. Maybe year 1's the only exception. It's fine.
Yeah.
But other than that,
Pretty close.
crazy
Maybe-
runs. Yeah.
maybe for the past 3 years.
Yeah. Toon doing a lot of work there, you know?
Yeah,
Checking in on TTV and then moving on.
Toon.
Yeah, Toon's being
Ender
like,
help.
I'll
Ender
tell-
and Doug are
I'll take
helping.
Toon. Yeah, totally. Exactly. And Otter, obviously, I think being the reference for one of those. But yeah, anyway, such a cool tournament. I'm going to be chasing that high of that final end game for quite some time. So
Yeah,
that was
God.
one of my favorite moments on commentary ever, easily. Like, it was just one of the
I
coolest
can't believe
moments
it
I've
just
seen in a
actually
tournament.
happened.
I know.
As like a game, as like a
True.
grand finals decider too.
True.
Like it doesn't even happen like at all.
I know.
In general.
Actually crazy.
I wonder what like the odds are on that. Like, can we make this like a shiny hunting? Like,
I know. I think I said it
comparison?
live. I was like, I put that on the whiteboard every time, and it never happens.
you do.
And
You
it did
literally
happen.
do.
All right.
And we got it.
Let's talk NA meta a little bit. Zacian, again, right at the top of the chart with 72% pick rate and a 61.9% win rate. Again, really, Gyarados, similar stats, but not quite as high. Alolan Raichu with a much better win rate in NA than in EU. Interesting. Lapras, right around the same. Honestly, Eldegoss, kind of around the same in terms of win rate, maybe not in terms of pick rate. A lot more Talon in North America. Umbreon, similar stats. Not in pick rate. Picked way less games. So only 17.2% games, but a 33% win rate. So Umbreon's still really struggling in this metagame. Meowscarada, the Pokemon I've been pretty high on, 50% win rate. I'll take it.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Right alongside Wiggly. Shout out.
Shout out Russ.
But the Snorlax, Suicune Demon duo still being extremely strong. Snorlax with a 69% pick rate, very nice, and a 45% win rate. And then Suicune, both of those stats being above 50%. So looking really, really good. I think this metagame, it was a new one, but I feel like I think it was pretty solved by the time we got around to top 8. You know what I mean? Like, I think we were looking at a lot of the same stuff. We can even see that, actually. We didn't look at this for EU, but we could take a look at bans as well. So, Kate X, I don't need to see this. Go to next post directly from here. Sticker, please go away. Okay, whatever. I want to know how many times Psyduck's banned. Now, see, I didn't want to go there.
It's
Okay, great.
gotta be
13 times.
yippee.
Psyduck banned 13 times, Blissey banned 15 times. So NA stays banning supports and defenders. Supports primarily. In the shout out to Sableye for receiving 5 bans. Roland
targeted.
Sableye, terrifying apparently to deal with.
Did JL get any targets on that as well?
I don't know. I feel like JL's been kind of chilling on the Sableye play a little bit these days.
Yeah, I didn't think I've been seeing it much with Unk, but I was kind of curious if they were both at large.
Where did Inteleon land in NA? Okay, not as bad as I thought. 37% pick rate, 54% win rate. It really did feel like people just were like, Inteleon's not feeling the same right now and going with kind of anything else. A little less than NA.
Yeah, NA feels a little more like equalized. So I'm assuming we had more data, and that's why. I guess I don't know if this was
more
from.
matches. Yeah, I don't know where he's pulling for this from either, but
Yeah, like if it was both groups and top like the bracket. But anyway,
shout out Flareons for Alolan Ninetales 75% win rate, by the way.
Yeah,
you can't get Suicune, just pick Alolan Ninetales, and it's a pretty similar path, I guess, compared to the two.
Yeah. Ice was very much like at large. Ice and water types for the most part. But yeah, it was kind of crazy to see Lapras so relevant. Like, I guess it can just like get at those like attackers, which have had a renaissance this past tourney for obvious reasons, but definitely wasn't on my. I thought we like maybe would see like more Crustle, but maybe he doesn't have fun until like Zacian and Gary.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I guess we're not seeing as much snipers, which is where I do see the crystal pop up. But either way, we're going to be headed into a bit of a new metagame pretty soon here, Bridget, because, yeah, that's right. Podcast is not over, everybody. We've had a team interview, a bunch of regions to break down, world's implications, but we also have a patch happening literally, I think, late tonight if you're watching this live, or potentially tomorrow. I actually don't know when patches go live these days. I forget, but
sometime tonight.
first and foremost, let's take a look at something even a little bit later on the horizon to May 22nd. We got new held items coming to the game. We have the Amulet Coin and the Choice Scarf being added into Pokemon Unite. We do not know what they do yet. El Chico Eevee referenced a couple of things, but I think there was still undecided on, like, they weren't for sure. That's what the stats they were adjusting, but Choice Scarf and Amulet Coin going to be added into the game. So exciting. I love new held items. Honestly, I feel like Unite has been crushing it in terms of items into the game. The only miss feels like Goal Zone Hacker in like recent memory, but everything else feels great. Like, and I still run it on Mewtwo X support, by the way. Shout out. Anyway.
I just forget that thing exists, so whenever it's like brought up, I just like laugh. I think about the time... I don't know. Was it when we were 5-stacking once and we all equipped Goal Zone Hacker?
Yep.
And we just kept saying we're hacking the goal.
Yep,
yeah,
exactly.
that's what I forget it's like real. It feels like a fever dream. But I agree. I've really loved the addition and like kind of like rate we've been getting new items, and also that they've been like adjusting like current held items. I don't know. It makes
more on that in a minute.
Yeah, I just think I'm glad they're not like overlooking that part, because it does kind of feel like we didn't really get a lot of like new held items or like adjustments to them for like a while there. But over the past like 6 months, 12 months, it's been much better.
Agreed. So yeah, I'm interested to see what these end up doing. Now, one thing to note, as a person who by the way, the new China auto chess mode, the new patch is actually so freaking fun. They changed everything. It's awesome. There's like a bunch of new items. There's like a bunch of new type synergies. They took some Pokemon out. They added new ones in. It's a blast. But anyway.
God, we need it so bad.
Please, we literally asked them at the end of the broadcast. It was awesome.
That was awesome. Also, by the way, that was
Shout out to all of our mothers, Timmy Studios.
Yeah, that was also a very funny bit.
So the reason I bring it up though, Amulet Coin and Choice Scarf, both items that do exist in that auto chess mode. Amulet Coin's a weird one because it specifically interacts with like the econ part of like an auto battler, which obviously for mobile won't have any relevancy. A lot of people have been theorizing that it might work similar to Zacian's passive, in which when you knock Pokemon out, it could drop more Eos energy than normal, which I think would be kind of fun. I mean, 500 point mode item. Right there.
Definitely.
And honestly,
or
maybe
like
on Zacian.
Oh yeah, or like the EXs that like take that Eos energy to like charge up their moves.
Yeah.
Like
it feels like an okay Mewtwo item, maybe.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see like how the mechanic of it works, like if it drops on the ground, if you just like get more in your pockets, or if you can hold more in your pocket.
That's what
like,
it does. By the way, that is like yet another.
It really feels like it will have something to do with Eos energy, but I really don't know what else.
Yeah,
it would be. I call the Eos energy money, so
of course. So
to me, it makes a lot of sense.
100%. The other item being Choice Scarf in the auto battler mode. Choice Scarf is a like move cooldown item. It just helps you get to like, because every Pokemon in there has auto attacks, and then they eventually charge up a move gauge. They kind of work a little differently per Pokemon, but Choice Scarf helps that move gauge charge up quicker. So I'm imagining maybe it's like maybe it's just a move CD item, which is kind of crazy because they've been giving us so many cooldown items. So
yeah,
I don't know. Maybe there's another one. Who knows? But okay, that's coming later. We don't actually have notes on that, but we do have something that's coming out later tonight. We have Breath of Evolution Part 2. So a brand new patch. Let's get into it, Bridget. Another change.
This is very random. I like in the little like picture of like the Pokemon, they put them in like holoware.
Yeah. It's the best part of our game.
I don't know if they
and
usually do it, but
more.
I really like they look glam.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree. I think we should be leaning into the hollower stuff more and more and more and more. It's one of the best parts about our game, to be honest. So.
Yeah, I don't feel like they usually put them in the holoware. I could be wrong, but
I like this shout out from Dextro in our chat, by the way. So obviously Venusaur got a bunch of changes in the last patch. It was kind of like the front and center Pokemon. And now
Definitely.
Dextro pointing out that Blastoise is the front and center Pokemon in this one. Maybe in part 3 Charizard, we get like the 3 Kanto starters with big changes. That'd be kind of cool.
Oh my gosh, why would you manifest that?
You don't want Charizard changes? I feel like
No,
come on,
girl,
I'll Fire
do you
Punch.
Okay, maybe. Don't touch its Unite move though.
Yeah, please. Let's stop trying to figure that one out. That's fine the way it
let's
is.
just increase the cooldown more.
Charizard evolves at level 6. Okay, let's get into the actual changes. So, a few nerfs. This is another note. Not a lot of Pokemon balance changes in this game. I feel like they hit a lot of the big name ones, specifically Zacian and Gyarados. If you look at the API stats, they were crushing. So glad those are getting changes. A few Pokemon maybe dodged some nerfs, but looking at some, I would say Umbreon you could put in contention, but taking a look at some of those stats, maybe not. But yeah, Dexter reminding us, Suicune not getting a nerf might be a little, that might be tricky.
That might be the only fraudulent.
True. Well, let's get into the changes.
Overall good.
Yeah,
Yes.
I would say overall good. I actually like this. We haven't even talked about the patch, but overall I actually do like this. We'll talk about it more at the end. Zacian, its ability, Intrepid Sword, where it dropped extra AOS energy from knocking out opponents, has now been entirely removed. So now Zacian does no longer get additional AOS energy when knocking out Pokemon. Great. Yeah, I always did feel weird that it did that because it uses it for its moves. It like kind of felt like the balancing spectrum of this Pokemon was how much energy it needs to use, and then you're just like, well, it doesn't matter because you get enough. Felt strange, but either way, that's now gone. Play Rough, it now stuns for a lot less. Was 0.7 seconds before, now it's only 0.25 seconds. And the Play Rough Plus also getting a slight decrease on that, and then Sacred Sword's damage getting nerfed by 25%. That feels like the most notable change out of this entire list, to be honest. Sacred Sword by far the more popular move. There was like a season of Metal Claw for a minute, but I'd say the Sacred Sword damage being the most notable change here. What are you thinking about the Sword Dog nerfs?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. These feel pretty, like, hefty. Like, they took Zacian out back. Like, I feel like
Its win rate was a little ridiculous. I think it was like 58% on the ranked ladder or something. Like, that is nasty.
No, it was needed, I think. I'm not sure how relevant it will be, like, now, but I do feel like the all-rounder, like top lane or even, like, jungler mon is, like, not quite. It's gonna be a bit more of a toss-up now with Zacian and Gary kind of getting knocked down a peg. So I'm interested to see how that meta shifts out now.
Me too. I wonder if Buzzwole will rise up a little bit more even. Like it feels like Buzzwole was like, oh, got more play, but maybe not as much as I was expecting. So we'll see. Okay, Alolan Raichu also getting a nerf. They got a nerf in the last patch, and they got another slight adjustment in this one. Now, Stored Power being the move that takes the heavy hit. The bonus damage of Stored Power on your auto attacks is down by 10%. The cooldown from this move goes from 4.5 seconds up to 6 seconds. So, I will say, as I've been playing quite a bit of Alolan Raichu, I'd say that I think it'll be noticeable. I find that every time I'm mashing the Psychic button because I think it should be up and it's not. And I'm like, why is it not up? Because of the nerf. And now I think the same is going to be true with Stored Power. Like, it feels like every time you shoot all your little stars and then it's already ready to press again. And now that's going to be a little bit different. Also, the attack speed increase going from 50% now down to 35%. So, Stored Power, just too strong. They're like, hey, listen, we buffed Electro Ball. Go, try it. Use that move.
It does feel like I mean, I was feeling like, just as a bystander to the Raichu, like Electro Ball, like the electric build seemed to be more popular after the first nerf in this first edition of this patch. But yeah, especially after this, it's like, okay, we get it. We will not be playing the psychic moves anymore, it seems like.
Exactly. All right, let's move on to the next one, Gyarados. Okay. Interesting change to Gyarados in terms of the balance patch, which I always love these Pokemon, kind of like Zacian as well, where they have kind of another balance metric you can move around. And Gyarados has it in Magikarp with the effort gauge. So Rattled, it's effort gauge. So when you have Rattled, that's like when you're on low HP or whatever on the Gyarados, you do damage, or a Magikarp, that value has been reduced by 10%. So it's going to be slightly harder to charge your effort gauge. which honestly at this point I think it's fair. Good top laners of they're getting it at like 840. They're
Yeah,
revolving into
it was,
Gyarados
like,
now. It's a little ridiculous.
Really impressive. Like, just watching UCS over the weekend.
Oh yeah,
like,
they've labbed it
it
out.
was
Like they
really fast. Yeah.
Yeah, especially NA, I think, but like EU2, Gatlu in particular, like we have players that have been like speed running Gyarados. So good to see that change. Dragon Breath and Waterfall both getting changes, both getting a 12% damage decrease. I like that too. So like I like making Gyarados a punishable Pokemon in the early game a little bit more. That is smart. I like that change. I also do think Dragon Breath damage isn't what you're too worried about, but it did do more than it felt like it should. Because, like, the major part of Dragon Breath is that your auto attacks are going to go crazy right after. So, like,
Right.
the upfront damage is a little strange. And then Waterfall going down a little bit does make sense. We've seen some shenanigans happening with the Rocky Helmet build. So, if they're going to buff Rocky Helmet, maybe we do lower down Waterfall. That's fine.
Yeah, Jesus. I don't even know if this is going to be... Gyarados might still be fine, I think. But we'll see.
All right, next Pokemon, and I think this one should be pretty exciting for you. I know we actually talked about it a little bit.
Girl.
We'll see. Clefable getting like battle pass level buffs, so not quite, but like some
Don't
solid
tempt me.
buffs.
Don't get me excited.
Yeah, I don't
for
think that's
support
gonna...
battle
Hey,
pass.
let me tell you, don't think that's gonna be happening. Yeah,
I've given up.
maybe a first stage Hollow. Who knows? Clef getting a lot of changes across the board, mostly in the stats department, and also I do want to preface this is a bit of a burf. It's a buff and a nerf. So, Clefable, stats moving up. Yeah, real dunkheads love burf. Okay. Clefable, its bottom end of its HP is going to remain the same, but its top end is now increased by 1,000 HP. That's a lot of numbers. You're never getting to level 15 on this Pokemon, but still, the idea that you scale a little bit better on this Pokemon is fantastic. Also no, Moonlight's based off special attack, right? In terms of healing?
Yeah,
okay.
definitely. But Clef is like deceivingly like squishy. Obviously, I feel like
maybe not
she kind
anymore.
of has to be. Well, yeah. So this is actually like pretty huge. I was saying I feel like she has to be because of the amount of healing. Like, you know, it's like you can't be tanky and AoE healing at level 10.
And mitigation you get with Follow Me or whatever. Like, yeah, you have a few too many tools to make yourself tanky, so you're a natural tank. But it's got a bit of a buff there. The defense and special defense also kind of getting the same treatment with some very nice buffs to the late game, specifically in the special defense department. Clefable, so the base defense 260 up to 300, special defense 200 getting boosted all the way to 330. So Clefable becoming a huge special tank all of a sudden, which is really, really cool. Notably, a lot of the special attack base stats do kind of go crazy in terms of scaling and going higher than the attack stats do. So it's like, this honestly just feels like it's kind of catching up a little bit. But either way, big change. So that's it for the stat buffs. Down to the nerfs. Draining Kiss is going down a little bit lower. So the damage is going to go down, I don't know, by a percentile. And the special attack base healing is also going to go down. So Draining Kiss getting a slight slap on the wrist. Listen, I know some Clef enjoyers were using this move. You probably weren't before. You probably aren't now. Next change, Moon.
leave the drain me believers alone.
Fine, I will.
And that's me.
I think I've said some pretty horrible things about Clefable players in the past, actually. But anyway, let's move on.
And you're valid for that.
Moonlight healing going up by 5%. Oh, it just feels like a tip. You know, it was like on the way out. Moonlight by 5%.
So broken. Like, any increase to Moonlight healing, I am like pumping my fists in the air. Like, I feel like the stat changes are the most notable. Yeah. But I mean, there's some teams in like Japan who are like Clef is something on their roster or like in their rotations. So I'm interested to see. Oh, go on.
No, I'm sorry. Someone in chat pointed out, and I just got it by reading it too. I'm sorry, I misspoke before. Draining Kiss's healing is getting buffed, actually. I should backtrack a little bit there. The damage is getting the nerf, but the healing off of Draining Kiss is actually getting a buff. So more of like a retooling a little bit now. So I'm sorry about that. I didn't mean to cut you off either, Bridget, but...
Oh, no, you're sorry. I didn't even like realize. It's a little confusing because it's like a range, like...
Yeah, and I don't really know what it's scaling off of, but
yeah, it is a little confusing, and it's also like who's playing Draining Kiss to know enough about like its ranged amounts it's doing, or like I don't. So Unsure. It might
Okay.
have to do with like I feel like I'm not gonna misspoke. I was gonna say there might be some weird interactions based on if you have like an ally in your circle or if it's like just you
Oh,
getting
yeah,
healed
could
off
be.
your thingy, but I'm not really sure.
That's a
I'm
good
playing
point.
Moonlight.
Yep, that's me too. Okay,
Don't catch me
let's
playing Moonlight.
Bridget, in your opinion, does this Pokemon seem more competitive play now outside of Japan? Because they still play it there.
Hope so. I actually do feel like
I think so
can't even
too.
remember I can't remember what team it was. I want to say it was like maybe for like ACL qualifiers or I can't remember what Japan tournament I was watching, but I was watching someone play Moonlight Clef and I was actually like very impressed with how the team was like working around the Clefable and
Mhm.
like I don't know, it was really really cool to see like the synergy with it and I think it is a little like underutilized, I would say. Like Moonlight is still really good. Like I don't
Yeah.
think that's ever kind of not been a thing. It's really just I feel like its Unite move is so like
Mhm.
unreliable. It's kind of never gonna like I don't know. It's always gonna be like a pretty big like deterrent, I think,
Agreed.
for like Clefable's like kit in general and like viability. But you make Moonlight healing good enough, I feel like almost nothing else matters. Obviously the stats. I think the stats will
Totally.
hopefully make it better in like Ray fights and like endgame for staying alive a little longer. So I'm excited.
Yeah, it's looking good. Let's go to the next Pokemon. I think we're both a little less excited for this one. Blastoise is getting some stat changes as well. Getting a big HP boost as well. Going up into the 5-digit mark in the late game. 10,300 max stats. Water Spout getting a slight buff. And Hydro Pump both getting a slight buff. So the Spout, Pump side of things, I think those are in the same slot, right? Both getting some changes. The movement speed reduction part of Water Spout is now going to get changed, I guess. It used to be more drastic. Now the slow is less effective, but it lasts for 2 seconds instead of 1 second. And now when using Rapid Spin, now applies movement speed reduction once. So now you get a little bit of movement speed reduction with your Water Spout. Hydro Pump when using Rapid Spin, incapacitation duration 0.5 seconds to 0.75 seconds. That is going to be so annoying.
Yeah, I was gonna say I saw Blastoise buff. I'm never too
Mhm.
hype. I mean, maybe I just have like distorted memory, but I just feel like Blastoise was so good for so long
It
that
was.
I'm like again. But like you said, you're like it's kind of been a while. I'm like I don't know. I'm like I don't think it's been long enough, man. So
Put
it
it
could just
away.
be me. But anytime, sorry to Summer who loves this Pokemon, but anytime I see this getting buffed, I'm not super
Yeah.
excited. But the pump does seem annoying, but to be honest, it's not like you see Blastoises very much, and
True.
they gotta have something. So.
Gotta have some. So it's gonna be even slower. I mean, it's gonna be tough. And this Pokemon's, it's always been a Pokemon when it's spinning, it's hard to fight. When it's not, it's a little easier. So we'll see how that goes. Let's go on to my boy, Garchomp, getting some changes in some fun ways. First and foremost, the healing based on damage dealt is now going up by 50% off your boosted attacks. Garchomp's lifesteal goes insane at like level 11 up, maybe 13 up, but Garchomp now getting a 50% of the healing changes on that. Drain Crown Garchomp is back, baby. So excited.
God.
But it is getting some changes to the other moveset. So Dig and Earthquake getting some big buffs. So the defense and Spadef buff that you get while doing Dig is now going from 3 seconds to 4 seconds. So a much longer duration. And the cooldown is just going down by a half second. I don't think that'll be too relevant for Garchomp, but hey, cool. And then the cooldown for Earthquake also getting the same thing. So just cooldown changes to Dig and Earthquake, so a bit more uptime. But definitely the major part of this being the boosted autos from Garchomp getting another tune-up, and that's kind of his whole thing. So I'm pretty excited about those.
Yeah, I honestly I first saw Garchomp and I was like, oh geez, and then I saw it was like ground build and I was like, okay, I'm actually like with this, but I definitely glazed over the boosted attack buff, and now I'm like, maybe we'll see how I feel about this. I think it got like nerfed at some point along the road. It's boosted auto.
Yeah, I did.
So it might just be a little bit like return to form, because I do feel like Garchomp has like fallen off a bit.
Yeah,
lately.
I definitely say fallen off in like ranked environments and everything. Competitive wise,
Yeah.
it still feels like it's quite good. So I'm glad that the
Really?
dragon side of things isn't getting too big of a change. Like it, it's not getting a nerf or anything. And sometimes they'll do that. They'll buff one moveset, nerf the other. So I'm happy that it's just kind of sticking around, and now we might have a bit more flexibility. Another all-rounder getting changes, and this one is where I go,
This might be the question mark.
Oh boy, Blaziken. Hey, they really wanted P and Overlord to Blaziken duel at Worlds.
I swear.
Focus Blast from Blaziken, getting a movement speed reduction bonus 1.5 second, lasting now to 2 seconds. And the big change, every time you unite move with Blaziken, you do get a shield. It used to only be 5% of your max HP. Now it's going up to 12% of your max HP, and the cooldown is slightly less, 5 seconds down to 4.7 seconds. So very, very small change, but with a move that you are pressing a ton of, I think that cooldown will matter. Also, I think this shield amount going off of max HP, I do think there's a world where Blaziken is just a must double stacker now. You wait and Cookie.
Wow.
You I think
Yeah.
because it was already decent with Cookie before. I think Blaziken becomes one of the best users of attack weight and AO's Cookie now. In late, it feels so good. I mean, you're already playing this Pokemon. You're already punting your early game with Torchic and Combusken anyways. It's like, who cares? Just run it down for these stacks in the early game. Everyone's going to go fight on bottom. I'm going to keep staying up here. It'll be fine.
Yeah, it's something, like you said, you already have that attack weight on. Like, if you get that much benefit out of your max HP, which, I mean, you're not clicking it every 5 seconds now, you're clicking it every 4.7 seconds.
True,
like,
true.
To me, that was almost like, did you really have to shorten it by 0.3 seconds? Like, that just feels like, this is already I know Blaziken's Unite move is obviously very different than every other Unite move in the game, but it's like, really, man? You really had to shorten it even more? Like,
yeah.
God damn it. I don't know. I am definitely a little afraid of this. Just because its Unite move is so, like, critical to its kit and, like, important. Giving it an even shorter cooldown and that much more of a shield makes me a little nervous. But we'll see if it's as troublesome as I'm worrying it might be.
Yeah, we'll see. I think this thing is going to be we're talking about new mainstay in the top lane.
Yeah, this might be the guy.
I think we might be looking at a ban in ranked too. We'll see.
Yeah.
I think a lot of top laner bans coming up soon.
Yeah, that would definitely be like I mean, Clef is my winner, my personal GOAT, but I think like the patch winner is probably Blaziken.
True. Well, the real winners are all of us because we got held item changes. Let's go. Okay, so I actually want to read this. So held item adjustments, just basic intro to the sentence on the patch notes says some held items have been adjusted based on in-battle performance. Great, we're changing held items based on win rate. That feels correct. I am kind of bummed that it's these first two items that we're changing first. A Cell Bracer and Drive Lens, brand new items to the game, totally changed the landscape. And honestly, if I'm going to be like, this made item choices on a lot of Pokemon really fun. Like, I have been like, oh, like, do I put the bracer on this one? Do I not? Like, can I fit it? What do I drop? Like, that has been a fun way to play. Both these items receiving some changes. Just a bit too strong. I guess maybe just, I think maybe they didn't, they were a little too evergreen for what I think Timmy wanted them to be. And I'll kind of break down why I think that. So the exact changes for both the Bracer and the Drive Lens, you now get 50% less stat on every knockout. And another change is now to get to the max effect of knockout, like to get fully stacked, you need to get 10 knockouts. Now, we don't know exactly what that means, but you previously used to get 2 stacks for a knockout, 1 stack for an assist. Now it looks like you need 10 stacks or 10 knockouts for or 1 knockout for a stack. I am curious if assists will not count at all. Oh, no, there we go. Dextro just mentioned, Dextro, you're the GOAT. Just said in our chat, Japanese notes mentioned that it will go up to 20 stacks now with a 50% decrease on each stack. Okay, interesting. So we actually don't lose any, the max level is still there. So the stat change will still be the exact same, it's just you need to get to 20 to get to that max stat. Interesting. So you just get there way slower.
Gotcha.
So it's still
Okay.
1 point for assist, 2 points for KO. But now,
they-
it goes to 20. Interesting. Okay, now I don't hate this as much. Now I'm kind of down.
Our notes are very confusing. I was not getting that at all from like.
Right. Yeah. Shout
I
out
can
to
kind of
Japanese
see like what they mean, like the KO to max, whatever.
notes. Right.
But it is a bit. Some of the wording is a bit confusing.
it is.
I mean,
weird
on like the
confusing,
clef.
yeah.
one
Yeah,
as well.
Chef's saying in our chat too that it sounds like it's still 50% the strength, and I see what you're saying.
That's what we
but
thought.
I think logically the change would still be making sense to me is that it just takes longer now.
Yeah.
Because now every knockout counts as like half the amount it did before. So it's basically just your stacks are counting as half. No, I think I get it. Either way, let's
we
move on.
talked it out.
Yeah, great.
We got there.
2 other changes, and these I think are W changes. First and
Yeah.
foremost, actually, you know what? Let's save the best for last. First up, Shell Bell.
Oh my god.
Shell Bell now going from 10 seconds down to 8 seconds. Great. They buffed this item recently, and I think it became a slightly more viable item on a few Pokemon. It just got even more viable. Awesome. I love that. Also, in the same patch that you're nerfing Drive Lens, in which a lot of special attackers are picking up anyways, great. Add Shell Bell into the mix. Now it's a different cooldown item that can be more viable. Love it. All right, main talking point. Rocky Helmet. Truly one of the most useful items, unless you're asking Gyarados players, in the entire game, has just gotten a buff. It used to have a cooldown of 2 seconds. It is now a 0.6 seconds cooldown. That is a crazy uptime change. You were essentially, 4 times the amount of uptime?
Literally, yeah.
You're getting 4 times the amount of procs off of your Rocky Helmet. The damage activation condition from 10% down to 3% of HP. So it used to be you needed to take 10% of your total HP, or I think current HP it was. Might have been max. I think it's current. To trigger the Rocky Helmet. Now it only needs to be 3%. Listen, every attack's hitting 3% of your max HP. It's triggering all the time. The damage dealt is now it used to be 4%, 5%, 6% of your opponent's max HP. It has gotten reduced to 1.2, 1.5, 1. It'll be 1.8. Listen, you're going to have it at level 20. It's fine. It'll be 1.8% of your opponent's max HP. So, okay. We've hit the uptime 4 times. The damage has lowered down from 6% to 1.8%. So, a pretty drastic reduction in terms of the damage. However, this enables a whole lot of stuff with Rocky Helmet. Uptime is crazy. 1, helps you defend goal zones better. 2, anti-heal. If any of your Pokemon are attributing some of that, is even better with your Rocky Helmet. Like, there are so many... It hits multiple targets more frequently. That's also something that's phenomenal. This item, I think, is really, really cool, and I'm excited to put it on my Garchomp.
Yeah, I love that Rocky Helmet has not been forgotten about.
No. Well, it was. Let's be clear. It was.
I think most people had forgotten about it, or really like you'd said, I saw Insomnia play Rocky Helmet Waterfall Gyarados, and so everyone else started playing it, as they should, because it looked very good, but that was kind of its only use case, and it would have been a meme, but Insomnia won with it, so it wasn't a meme. It became real.
Exactly.
So I'm excited to see, like, it maybe get a second chance at life here with the new criteria. It does feel like they kind of, like, proportionally-ish budgeted, like, made it do, like, less damage, but it looked like the damage only really decreased by, like, 50%, whereas you're getting like 4 times more. I don't know.
That's
the math is mathing where you're benefiting, and it's proccing easier because you don't need to.
Exactly. I
get
think
as
that's
much
a big
HP
part of it,
taken.
too.
Like it just actually feels like it's doing what it was meant to do better.
It's awesome. I can't wait.
Mhm.
It's gonna be a fun item. A lot of changes. So 4 changes to current held items. Some that are pretty drastic. Some that are lighter. But Drive Lens and Excel Bracer are definitely getting a slap on the wrist. Is that where they go? I don't know. Would you put them on your wrist? I don't know. But interesting changes. And then we have 2 new held items on the way very soon with the Amulet Coin and Choice Scarf. We'll have to see what those do soon. I think Alcremie is finally in a public test server, or should be soon. At least
I think on the 16th.
Okay,
it
gotcha.
Gets in TTS, so we should know it's like
cool.
more about its moveset and stuff.
Ooh, fun. That'll be a fun discussion for next podcast episode. That'll be cool. All right, well, Bridget, I think we did it. I think we have finally concluded our longest podcast episode ever, by far, finally. But it was awesome. To recap, we had our version 1 interview. We talked about the Unite Championship Series worldwide, in studio, North America, Europe, metagame, and then, of course, a brand new balance patch. There's a lot to talk about, but at the end of it, Bridget, is there anything else you'd like to say? Anything else you'd like to plug before we get out of here?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm excited for Taiwan, Hong Kong qualifiers this weekend. I'm gonna try to catch some, hopefully, but that's all I got. I'm
Sick.
just excited for more Unite. It's been a crazy just past couple of days. Like,
It has.
5 days. But it's been really fun. This was a good one.
It has been so fun. Thank you everybody so much for watching, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify or here live on Twitch. If you are watching on YouTube, please leave a comment below. What team are you most excited to see compete at the World Championships this year? Because we already know so many of them. If you're on Spotify, actually comment the same thing. That'd be awesome to see you there. Thank you everybody so much. Next week, well, likely be a little bit shorter, but let us know if you like these team interviews, because it was really fun to do, and we know a lot of those teams go to Worlds, so it might be fun to get more of those teams to slide through into the podcast and kind of do a bit of nostalgic throwback. It'd be a good time. But either way, we will see you all next time. Have fun, Dunkheads. Goodbye.
Bye.